I'd like to call the meeting of the Plaquemines Parish Council for September 26, 2024 to order at 2:09 p.m. Machines are open for a roll call. Yeah. Let the record reflect all 9 council members are present. Mr. Edwards stepped away really quick. At this time, we'll stand for the prayer by Councilmember Jurisic, pledge by Councilmember Kognovich.
Take this moment to acknowledge Almighty God and thank Him for our bountiful blessings, especially for the parish's natural resources. We give thanks to God for our brave and courageous men and women in our military who daily risk their lives to protect our precious freedom, and we pray for our world leaders to know how to obtain world peace. We pray that this government body, comprised of both councilmen and administration, will always serve our parish with honesty, humility, and equality to all. And as this government body gathers here today, we pray for the wisdom to know the right from wrong and the courage to do that which is right. Amen.
Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Got the first down there.
Here you go. You need to keep it.
Next item, please.
All right, 1B, the Plaquemines Parish Council sitting as the Board of Review. Oil and Gas, number 1, T. Parker Host. Assessment number B030000.
Ms. Taylor, you want
You want to call them all out?
yeah, let's do all the oil, if we can, all the oil and gas at the same time.
Key operating assessment number C623655. 3 McGowan Working Partners assessment number of all personal property at Delta Minerals 4, number 002D. Assessment number C602859. 4 McGowan Working Partners, all personal property at NC Hero et al. Number 3. Assessment number C602859. 5 Wapiti Operating LLC assessment number C618048. 6 Texas Petroleum Investment Co. assessment number C003350. This is all personal property at Romier Pass. 7 Texas Petroleum Investment Co. assessment number C003350. All personal property in Main Pass Block 69 Field. 8 Petroleum Investment Co. assessment number C003850. 9 Texas Petroleum Investment Co. assessment number C006900. 10 Texas Petroleum Investment Co. assessment number C014625. 11 Texas Petroleum Investment Co. assessment number C021700. 12 Texas Petroleum Investment Co. assessment number C615821. 13 Texas Petroleum Investment Co. assessment number C618534. 14 Texas Petroleum Investment Co. assessment number C621735. And that's it. So you just doing those, or you want to do all the oil and gas? Are you doing just affiliated? Okay. 15 Connecticut Midstream Energy assessment number C626676. 16 IMT assessment number B043725.
Thank you. Ms. Taylor? Yeah, do I need to offer before she comes up? Or, no, because we got to talk about later. I'll pile or something. Okay. Ms. Taylor, yes.
Good afternoon, Council. Sarah Taylor, Assessor at 117 Green Trails Drive. I know you have a lengthy agenda, so I'm going to try to be brief. The comments that I am making right now are specific to oil and gas and industrial appeals only and is not relevant to real estate appeals. The responsibility of the council acting as the Board of Review is one of tremendous responsibility and one I do not envy. You're expected to hear a brief testimony from the taxpayer and the assessor on matters such as throughput, production train, capacity, and discounted cash flow. matters that require experts in the field and take each of us months of work to analyze and balance. Based on that brief testimony and possibly pages of summaries and formulas, you're asked to rule in favor of one or the other. For years, the assessor and personal property taxpayers have shared a good faith agreement which allows the taxpayer the opportunity to waive oral testimony locally while retaining the right to be heard before the Louisiana Tax Commission without prejudice. The assessor's office would like to continue this agreement and read the following statement into the record. In regards to the presentation of evidence, it is the assessor's position that if a taxpayer has timely and properly followed the procedure for filing an appeal with the Board of Review in accordance with the Louisiana revised statutes and the Louisiana Tax Commission rules and regulations, and the taxpayer chooses to waive its opportunity to be heard orally at the Board of Review hearing, this waiver will not prejudice the taxpayer's right to appeal the Board of Review's decision to the Louisiana Tax Commission or to present evidence to the Louisiana Tax Commission. Before I move forward, there is a representative from T. Parker, which is United Bulk, and so I will make a comment on their particular appeal, and if he would like to say a few words, he's welcome to. The 2023, so this is relevant to T. Parker Host, United Bulk. The 2023 value was also appealed and is pending a decision by the Louisiana Tax Commission, which was only heard yesterday. The taxpayer has identified 3 primary concerns that they have asked us to consider. We have considered them, we are addressing them and working towards a resolution. The value that was determined by the assessor's office was using historical records, the Lat 5 rendition from the taxpayer, site inspections, and using applicable valuation methods as set by the Louisiana Tax Commission. These valuation models are applied uniformly for all industrial properties. I respectfully request that you uphold the current value as determined by the assessor's office, and the taxpayer retains the right to appeal this decision to the Tax Commission.
Thank you, Ms. Taylor. Just please state your name, address, and company.
Good afternoon, Commission. My name is Sam Moore. I'm with Ducharme, McMillan and Associates. We are the representative for T. Parker Host, also known as United Bulk Terminal. Absolutely. My name is Sam Moore. I'm with Ducharme, McMillan and Associates. We're the representative of T. Parker Host, also known as United Bulk Terminal. My address is 12710 Research Boulevard, Austin, Texas. Did I cover?
Yes.
Okay, all right,
Go ahead.
perfect. So I would like to echo what Ms. Taylor said and obviously thank everybody for their time this morning. This particular terminal is currently under appeal for 2023. The Louisiana Tax Commission hearing was yesterday. We are waiting for a decision from them. What we're dealing with now is rolling into the 2024 evaluation season. And because we do not have clarity on the 2023 issues, those issues are still carried through to the 2024 valuation. The property is being uniformly assessed with respect to the methodology and the treatment of data that's been given. But really the discrepancy is coming from data that the assessor's office is using versus data that we have received from the current owner of the facility. The books and records that we are doing our analysis on, compliant with the Louisiana manuals and compliant with generally accepted appraisal policies, is rendering us a different result, and it's because the assessor's office is using outdated books and records that were maintained by previous taxpayers that are previous owners of the facility, and the paper trail has gotten spotty, essentially. We respectfully request that the taxpayers' proposed value be accepted. We ask you to rule in the favor so that the assessment will be driven off of current, clean, identifiable assets located at the facility as backed up by audited financial statements provided by the taxpayer.
Thank you. Any questions from council members? Do I have to about? Yes. Q&A, please.
And I don't know, Sarah, was you the person connect me about him alleging that you use an outdated methodology And if that's my understanding, what you just said, that
There-
you're using some modern technology and our assessor using outdated.
No, the methodology and technology is consistent. What the issue is that the actual books and records of the facility that the assessor's office is using was provided by previous taxpayers and has not been kept up, essentially. They're just using old information.
Old information. Sarah, your response to that?
The conversation with United Bulk Terminal is about 2 to 3 years ongoing. So what we're trying to say is our records go back to the 1960s, and we have information from historical information from way back then. So there was a new owner who purchased it in 2019. They don't have access to those same records. So we are essentially trying to work through all of this historical information and come to something that is current and agreed upon by both, essentially, is what we're trying to say.
You done, Reverend?
Yeah,
Ed?
yes, thank you.
So, Ms. Taylor, hold on. This is basically carrying over from 2023. If the tax commission rules one way or another, let's say in favor of United Bulk for 2023, I'll say then 2024 will get adjusted most likely as well. Will that almost be a understood process, or?
Like I said, this is a conversation that lots of people have been having for a very, very long time. And we were just discussing how many emails have gone back and forth and how lengthy they are. So I'm not going to say for sure that 2024 will take the information that the Louisiana Tax Commission determines. And if we agree upon some certain things, if the tax commission rules in one way, we'll utilize that information going forward if it still applies. The thing about personal property, it fluctuates every year. There's certain factors that change. So I'm not going to say, yes, it's going to directly impact 24, but
It could.
it could.
Okay. Any other comments, questions from the council? Do I have a motion to accept?
Motion to accept.
Motion to accept by Councilmember Newsom. Do I have a second? To uphold? Second by Councilmember Jursich. Newsom.
Just going to thank the commission.
Hold on. And this is for all the oil and gas, correct? Yes. Your motion? All right. I have a motion to uphold the assessment by the tax assessor by Councilmember Newsom, second by Mr. Jursich. Machines are open. Or, that was, I don't think we have to. For this. And it's upheld, 8 yeas, 1 abstention from Mr. Kongovich. Next item, or now for the real estate.
Real estate, Wilson Hildebrand, assessment number 1075300.
Ms. Taylor, or Mr. Hildebrand, you have the real estate one.
Good afternoon.
You got 5, state your name, address.
Wilson Hildebrand, 116 Pye Street, Bellchase, Louisiana. Good afternoon, and I sent you guys an email yesterday on the four properties that I'll be referencing to. I was wondering if y'all got the email.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so I'm appealing the assessed value of my. I'm appealing the assessed value of my 980 square foot home. The current assessed value is $120,000, and I'm asking the assessed value of $106,600 to be assigned to my property. The comparable property at 121 Muse Street, there's an email, located 150 feet behind my house, recently sold for $103,000 in 2021. It's a brick house with an open carport built around 1965 with approximately 100 square feet more than mine. This is a very good property to use as a comp, as it is almost identical to my home and is located in my immediate neighborhood. Even though the property sold for $17,000, less than what I want for my property assessed at, I will be satisfied with an adjusted assessment value of 106.6. Thank you.
Ms. Taylor, do you want to have your response first before we start asking questions? Or, all right, any question? You want to hear from her?
Yes, I'd like to.
All right, Mr. Newsom would like to hear. Ms.
I can get all information. Thanks.
That's it?
Yeah, for right now, don't go anywhere.
116 Pie Street is on the 2024 tax roll for $120,000, the same value that was in place during 2023 appeal, which you also heard. This property has been appealed to the Board of Review 4 times and the Louisiana Tax Commission 3 times over the course of the last 4 years. 7 appeals in which the assessor's value was upheld in all but one of those appeals. In addition to the 7 appeals, the taxpayer filed a lawsuit against the assessor's office, which was heard and dismissed with prejudice. Prior to the 2024 reassessment, the taxpayer filed for the special assessment level freeze. In other words, there has been no value change to this assessment by the assessor's office subsequent to the numerous appeals. Once again, the appeal for 2024 is here. I gave you a quick summary of the sales that were already provided. 114 Pie Street, which is directly next door, sold for $252,000 with a patched roof post-Hurricane Ida. No updates were indicated on the multiple listing sheet, and the interior photos were considered similar in age and condition. 115 Pie Street, directly across the street, sold for $259,000. I also searched to see what you could find to purchase in zip code 70037 for less than $200,000. This revealed a fixer-upper in fair condition that sold for $150,000, a 1979 manufactured home that sold as a tear-down for $171,000, and a property in the immediate subject subdivision in near original condition for $176,000. This information confirms that the assessor's office has considered the fair market value, even in its post-Hurricane Ida condition, and confirms that the value of $120,000 is below market value. In response to the sale at 121 Mew Street, this property was not listed for sale, it had no disclosed updates, and did not have a new roof. And what's most relevant is that I reached out to the owner. She purchased this property from her grandmother for $103,000. I respectfully request that you uphold the current value of $120,000. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes.
Two other properties,
Please, yeah.
I'm sorry. Two other properties located next door to me and across the street have recently been used by the assessor as comparable properties. The house next door, a 1,600 square foot house that sold for $250,000 in 2022, is 60% larger than my property, and therefore does not qualify as a comp. And by the way, the property is only assessed at $210,000. It sold for $250,000, it's assessed at $210,000, way below market value. The house across the street, a 1,600 square foot house that sold for $260,000 this year, is also 60% larger than my home, and therefore also does not qualify as a comp. And by the way, this property is also assessed at $210,000. So for $260,000, it's assessed at $210,000. Excuse me just a minute. Okay, many articles have been published detailing how smaller properties are overassessed and larger properties are underassessed. Let's take a look at the 4 reference properties and see if the theory holds true. My home last sold for $48,000. It is now assessed at $120,000, overassessed. 121 Mew Street last sold for $103,000. It is now assessed at $160,000. Sale price was $103,000. It's assessed at $160,000. A smaller property that is overassessed. The two other properties are the larger properties that are underassessed. 114 Pie Street, last sold for $250, is now assessed at $210. Sold at $250, it's assessed at $210, way below market value. Second property at 115 Pie Street, last sold for $260, is now assessed at $210. $260 sale price, $210 assessed. So without exception, the theory holds true. The two larger properties, 114 and 115 Pie Street, are underassessed. And the two smaller properties at 116 Pie Street and 121 Mew are overassessed. My home is currently overassessed, and I respectfully ask you to assess my property at 106.6.
All right, thank you. Anybody else from the audience wants to make a comment? All right. Ms. McCarty.
Mr. Wildebrand, I'm doing my best to try and follow all of your assessments. Did you write anything down to hand out to us that we could see what you have?
I emailed.
No, I looked at the email, and I had sent my assistant your email and asked him to do comps. I don't have the results of that, but in your email, it only gave me a couple of addresses, no comps.
Okay, these were the four properties, and those values came directly off the assessor's website or personally sent from her in an email. So she referenced the two larger properties previously at a tax commission hearing. But she didn't mention that there was 60% larger than my property. So that doesn't count as a comp. A comp has to be very close to the subject property that you're looking at. 60% is way off. It can't be considered a comp. So the two she referenced are no good. The two she just referenced today are no good. They're not comps. They're not comparable properties.
Or they're comparable comps. Because sometimes when you purchase a house, there is no apple-to-apple comparison.
What's the question?
Are there any comparable comps?
Yes, the one I mentioned at 121 Mew Street was sold recently.
But from a relative to a relative, that is different because perhaps there is a compensation saying that I'm not going to charge my granddaughter what I would charge the public.
We don't know that.
What-
We don't know that for a fact.
What's the address you're
know
using
why.
for Mew Street? What address on Mew Street? What?
121.
Okay,
Mew Street is 121, and the other three subject properties are 114, 115, and 116 Pie.
yeah, I got those.
Like all over the parish. This is right there next to me. All four properties are very close. In the lower comp
No, this is what she
is
said.
a house that was built about the same time, the same construction, the same
All right,
open carport, same construction, very good comp. The other two that she's using are 60% larger. That's just living area. The one next door has a two-car closed garage. The other one has a one-car closed garage. That adds value too.
I'm unable to look at that. For some reason, I don't have that in my stack. Yeah, but I had the
So
email.
sale price,
you want to come back in a
That
second?
wasn't in the email.
sale price does not equate to assessed value. Just because a house sells for, and I just gave you the four examples. These four houses, two of them sold fairly low, and they're being assessed really high. So that proves
So,
that the sale price doesn't have anything to do, it should, but it doesn't. The house next door was sold 2 years ago, and it still hasn't been brought up to the assessed value of what it sold for. In 2 years, and this was the reassessment year, it should have been brought up to the market value, which is what it sold for.
okay, the first thing I need to mention is you're asking us to figuratively hold this information in our heads and do the comparison with you. I had asked if you had any of this written down for us to look at, that you're doing the comparison, that you're speaking about.
Absolutely, I got,
Well, did
I'll
you
try to
hand it
do-
out to us? Maybe we all need a copy of this. Okay.
You sent it in your email, right?
It wasn't in the email.
Okay, wait, we gotta be on the mics.
it was similar summation on the 4 reference properties. It's not exactly like that, but I have other,
Why don't we defer and you come back?
Well,
We can't,
I'll
okay.
let, I'll shoot you guys mix it up.
Yes, Mr. Hildebrand, if you were to sell this house, what would you ask for it?
whatever someone would pay.
So if
wait,
someone
wait.
offered you 150 or 180,000, you gladly take it?
No.
You wouldn't?
Let me explain. This is, and some people won't sell with the price. This is my first and only house, and this would be my last house. Someone else will sell it, not me. So what we're here today for is not a future value, okay? Not a future value. This is about an appeal to the assessed value, assessed. So no one here has a crystal ball to know what the value of that house will sell for in the future. The best we can do, and what the assessor does, is retrospective, which is all you can do. You can look back at past sales, okay? And then you create an assessed value for that property. So to drill down and to get to comparables, which, I mean, you got to have something to compare it to. But I just gave you one that's 150 feet away from mine. That's a recent sale, similar construction, similar shape, and it's sold for 103. I mean, we don't know if it was a brother-in-law deal or if it was informed and willing buyer at arm's length. We don't know that. All you know is it's a cash sale for 103. And I didn't see a relation in the information that came from the assessor's office. I didn't see an aunt and a cousin or something, I don't know.
You done, Mr. Jursich? Yes. Mr. Kognovich?
Well, number one, the houses she uses as comps aren't 60% bigger, they maybe 40% bigger. Then I'm looking at this residential disaster reduction application. Didn't we vote on this 3-4 years ago? It's been the same since Katrina?
It was Hurricane Ida damage, and
Oh, this was
it
before
took a
Ida.
while to move through this process. It is now in the 19th District Court in Baton Rouge, waiting to be assigned. That's how far it's gone. I would agree, if you guys would agree to this value, and have the assessor agree to this value, the lawsuit would go away, and we could start this whole process.
That, we can't do.
The first one we voted on was before Ida, and you still had damage to the house that you still haven't fixed. And
Correct.
so it's not our fault that you're not fixing the property to make it worth more money.
Right, so in lieu of that, you guys voted against that. So this time, I took a comparable property, I could throw a rock at it, 50 feet away. But sold recently, almost the exact same house as mine. I mean, that's what you need to judge. My property is on a comparable one. And the two she mentioned next door across the street ain't even close. And, okay, you said it was 40% bigger?
Are you saying there's a 1,600 square feet, yours is 980? So that's not 60% bigger.
It's not?
Well, what's half of 16.8? So that's 50%.
Which 600 added to 1,000? I mean, it's 60%,
You don't have to do math
right?
Half
got
of
1,000, you got
16.8, right?
every day of the week.
So if I go up to 980, that's a bigger house than 8, right?
Yes, sir.
So But, and you've been to the State Board of Appeal 3 times and they've turned you down every time?
It wasn't dealing with this comp. I've never used this comp before.
All right.
So actually, what we got here is my property was damaged in Ida, and no one wants to support this law. The revised statute 47, 1978.1 states that your house must be reassessed in its damaged condition. The assessor will not process the application. What am I supposed to do? So I took another avenue, and I showed you this comp this year, excuse me, very close to my house, a very close sale. And I just stated in my testimony that many articles have been written about smaller properties are overassessed. Larger properties are underassessed. And it followed true on all 4 of these properties. The 2 smaller ones were overassessed. The sale prices, you got one for 48, and it's assessed at 120. It sold for 48, and it's assessed at 120. The other one's a 103, and it's assessed at 160. So it doesn't matter if it was a brother-in-law deal for 103, it's still being assessed at twice the valuation.
Yeah, you done? All right, Mr. Champagne.
Mr. Hildebrandt, I'm curious, are you a licensed real estate agent, or do you have an appraiser?
No, sir.
So you're just a layman who's formulating this hypothesis and trying to convince us that your house is worth something, and you speak to comps, but again, you have no experience as an appraiser or real estate agent to actually have done the comparisons. I mean, comps are more than just square feet. There's other considerations. And I'll be clear, I'm not an appraiser or real estate agent, but I know enough to know they look at the interior condition, they look at amenities, they look at a lot of other things. So although I respect what you're trying to do, I think you're making an emotional appeal that you can't substantiate with any credentials or true evidence other than conjecture. I yield.
Everything I stated here has come either from the Louisiana Tax Commission website, everything, comps, condition of houses, the year it was built, or from the assessor's website, the information, everything. It took me 5 years to get to this point because I was forced to do it. I don't want to come down here. I don't want to go through this. I asked the assessor just a couple weeks ago if she would negotiate. She said, I'm going all the way. In other words, no way to negotiate. So I do have a background, and I have given the same information that you would receive from the tax commission or the assessor site.
Mr. Hildor. Ms. Taylor, did you want to have a response really quick?
I would like to just clarify words that are being spoken. I said I do not negotiate. This is not a negotiation. It is fairness and uniformity. I am holding up the law. And revised statute 1978, 47, 1978.1 requires that I consider. With all of the sales I have given, this is evidence that I have complied with the law. I considered the value. I considered the damage. There is no negative impact to a value of $120,000 on this property, even with damage.
Yes,
I
ma'am.
did not say I would go all the way.
All right. I'm last in queue. So a couple things I want to point out. At one point, you mentioned that sales price doesn't constitute assessed value, but then you're giving us numbers from sale prices that you want us to compare to. So you going back and forth there. But I am looking at a list of a house at 1,154 square feet, sold for 155 per square foot. House at 1,378, 163 square feet per square foot, and a house at 1,352 sold at 203. All of which would bring your assessed value higher. So more comparable price, you're saying that we can't use the other two because they're 60% larger. These are less than, in one case, 10% larger. So look at that. The other thing that I want to point out is that I'm not on tax commission, the state, but 3 out of the past 4 years, they denied you. You keep saying we're not following the law of the post item, whatever. Wouldn't they have ruled in your favor on that case in the past? So
No one wants to touch it because
sir, you can't say that.
courts with it. It's in the courts now.
And the courts will decide at that point. But to say the state is all against this and all that, but saying that, I think you're giving basically false accusations here, saying that we're not following the law. If we are not following the law, I would assume the state would have upheld your appeal in the past. So with that, I yield.
So the properties you mentioned, are they on Pie Street?
No, but they're on Mu, XI, and they're all within your neighborhood. So
Recent sales?
recent, yes, since 2023 or late 2022.
Similar construction?
Sir, come on. All right, I need a motion. Motion of what? Oh, wait, Mr. LaFrance.
Make a motion that we uphold the assessed value.
Motion by Mr. LaFrance to uphold the assessed value by the Plaquemines Parish Tax Assessor, second by Mr. Newsom. Do I have any? We already have public comment. Machines are open. And it passes 9-0 upholding. Next item, please.
2, executive session. Discussion of litigation in accordance with LRS 4417A2 in regard to the Parish of Plaquemines versus Conoco Phillips et al., 25th JDC 6982, Division B. The Parish of Plaquemines.
Stop, hold on. I haven't seen Mr. Taylor. We're gonna pass over that right now, we'll defer for now. Next item, please.
Item 3 will be deferred for administration updates.
Mr. Hinckley, past president.
Mr. President. Where's the mic?
Oh, hold on, let me turn your mic on.
We good?
You're good.
All right. A few things that we've been dealing with here in the last couple of weeks and really in the last 4 weeks because, we had an abbreviated meeting 2 weeks ago, but Francine did come through. We did experience a few little problems down in the Myrtle Grove area. We had a small breach along the Audubon Road. We're working on that today, and there was some scouring out on that same ridge from the pump station down to Ravenna Road. Those will be worked on this coming week. And just in the last couple of days, we've had there was some levee inspections that were happening on some on the East Bank, and we found some areas, say from the White Ditch up towards Braithwaite. I think it's about 6 miles, where with the tide coming up, the hogs were on the levees, and it's my understanding that they did quite a bit of damage. They're going out tomorrow morning to do some assessments on that. I've got a group of us, we're going to be going out Sunday morning to do another inspection on that area as well. We've also talked to, I guess, our project managers, see if this is kind of a crazy ask, but it truly is because of Francine, the storm. We are going to be going to FEMA to see if we can't get that FEMA eligible. And the ask is, because the hogs came out of the woods and did damage to our levees there. The salt water, we're still dealing with the salt water. The tow right now is at 63.3. The sill completion, which is scheduled to be completed today, and that is located at 63.7. So there's 3 of our facilities, East Point Lahash, Port Sulphur facility, and Boothville, Venice. They are inundated with salt water. Although the facilities do have their ROs, their microfiltration systems and everything is, we're producing good water in those areas. We talk a lot about grants. What we're doing right now, there's a lot of talk on our water infrastructure. I'm talking with the firms, with Linfield Hunter, with Kyle Associates, Infomark, and the administration. We know a direction that we want to go into, but it just seems like we're going in all multiple directions here. So I've kind of got it. We've got some meetings coming up here tomorrow and next week. We are going to identify what the direction that we need to go into the immediate future and into the future. So we'll know what direction we're going to be going into, and in that way we'll know exactly what grants, where the grants come from, and how to obtain these grants for these individual projects. Because I don't know how much when we add up, it's in the millions, high millions there. So probably in 2 weeks, I hope to have those answers for us. The administration it's a PP. It's called PP Go app. It's GEAUX. That comes online tomorrow. Yeah. So that way you'll be able to go online or go on that app. If you have any issues in your district, if the residents have any issues, they can go to that app and log in, file the complaint, and it'll come through that app, and then we'll be able to give the problems to the appropriate offices. We're still in hurricane season. There's a storm that's hitting in Florida here this evening. Fortunately, what we're feeling from that is a little cool breeze from the northeast. We hate the fact that it's hitting somebody, but fortunately, it's not hitting here in Plaquemines Parish. Billy?
Hey, just to piggyback on what Mr. Hinckley said, it was a short abbreviated meeting, the last meeting, so we didn't get a chance to give you any info on what operations did for the storm prep and planning. From the flood flight standpoint, we did all the sandbagging. We decided pre-storm that we needed to go place bags on the 3 lowest portions of the parish. Those 3 lowest portions were the 2 railroad crossings, one in Braithwaite, one down in Lower Jesuit Bend by the siphon, and then the other one was at the very end of Highway 23 in Venice. Thanks to Mr. Kognovich, he helped us a lot with that setup, both from his memory from how they've done it in the past, and he actually took them out the highway at the end 2 days later. So thanks for that, Mr. Kognovich. We had a lot of surplus bags stockpiled on Walker Road up on the northern end as well as on the lower end. When we had the issue in Myrtle Grove with the Little Potato Ridge levee and the contractor came in to start those emergency repairs, it was a huge time saving to have those bags pre-built and ready to go. They had those bags picked up and delivered to the site probably within 4 hours, 4.5 hours. That was a huge plus. 2 days after, they started demobbing those sites, starting with the railroad tracks. The advantage to Highway 23 in Venice is they had an alternate route to go around. All of that went really smooth. We had all the help in the world. We had our pump operators. We had numerous support from other departments that came in and helped. Numerous people worked 24 hours, pre-pump, during the event pumping, and post-pumping. When a lot of water comes down, sometimes it takes days for all that runoff to get to the pump station. Everything went well. We couldn't have asked for it to go any better. We hoped that we have learned from that, and we think we did. We know that the planning we did pre-storm helped scheduling, getting all of that stuff set up. We really didn't have any hiccups at all. Nothing slowed us down. Nothing caused any issues at all. Moving on to the grass cutting stuff. Obviously, because all hands on deck was helping doing other things, grass cutting was kind of disrupted, to say. Grass cutting, the normal grass cutting, this week kind of got back on schedule. That's all going on. We are still working toward subcontracting some grass cutting. And what we're trying to do is we don't want to just put a list out and say, hey, we need this area cut give us a price on this, collector. We're trying to identify locations, identify the type of need, whether it's a ditch cut, is it servitude cutting, is it highway cutting, is it levee cutting? We're trying to plan all of that out so that when we request a quote for somebody, we're giving them exactly what we need quoted. We want them to be able to compare and quote apples to apples, let's say. Scope of work is going to vary on different ones, so it's going to be different for each one. As soon as we get that worked out, we'll send you that info so you can see it too. That way, if anyone reaches out to you and says, hey, I'm interested in that, you'll have that same info. Ditch cutting, same with the grass cutting. That's all starting back this week. The A-boom on the lower end is still down. And we know from last time when we sent the one from up the road, down the road, it caused an issue on both ends. So the 15-foot bat wing has been doing a pretty good job keeping up with some ditches. It gets everything but the bottom center of the ditch. And hopefully with the spraying they're doing, since we don't have any rain expected, that'll help tremendously with that. It seems to be going pretty well. The A-boom on the east bank is still up and running. It's not broke down. It's good to go. The one on the upper west bank is in on, it's about midway, 3/4 northbound through the Jesuit event area, headed back up into Bell Chase. And we know we got a couple of ditches in the Shady Oaks area of Bell Chase, District 2 up there. And we get calls 3 times a week from probably three people that live in that area. It's the same answer every time. It's one machine, it just hasn't made it back up there yet. It is coming. If you're getting those calls, it is coming. Road grading, I know Mr. LaFrance had some questions about road grading. We have a list of 25 roads that we grade. We have 1 grader, and we just recently upgraded to 2 operators. One's a pump operator, full-time, and he just does the grader as a secondary thing. We kind of put him on a schedule. We've got a heavy equipment operator that he's really good on a dozer. We said, hey, look, a blade's a blade, right? You should better get some hand-eye coordination. He started working on this machine, and he picked it up like he'd been doing it his whole life. So that's working out pretty good. We still have the limitations of transporting the one machine and getting it from one end of the parish to the other. Couple spots down in the Port Sulphur. It's easy because you can really drop it in one spot and they just drive it from one road to the next right in that area. So that should be going. And look, we want to keep that on a schedule, but remember, we only have 3 operators total. When we also have to hop to go do sinkholes, we have to go do drainage issues. It's not like we have a staff that just only do rock roads. I know Mr. Cognovich gets beat up all the time for one of his roads on the northern end of his district. But it is steady moving along. It's just a slow process. And that's all I have. If you have anything, let me know when we're done.
Good afternoon. Just an update on my departments after the storm. I really want to give credit to the EMS and the fire department. Things ran extremely smoothly as far as I know. EMS was fully staffed and on standby throughout the storm. For maybe about 4 hours while the storm was passing, we grounded the units because of the weather. But maybe about 1 o'clock, we put them back in service because the weather had slackened up enough to be safe on the road. I want to really congratulate those guys as well as fire. Firemen were very receptive to anything that needed to be moved or put eyes on. I think those guys really did a good job, and I want to give them all the credit they deserve. The shelter ran about as smooth as I think a shelter could be run. I want to give credit to the health department, community action, and recreation. There was absolutely no complaints that I heard of from the residents that were evacuated to the shelter. The transition over from, we had decided earlier that day before the weather got too bad to go on and transition from energy power to generator power, so we didn't get in a bind when the weather was rolling through and we lost power. So that transition went as smooth as I thought it could go. So I want to give credit to all of those guys that had a hand in that. It really went smooth, in my opinion. Another couple of updates. The first round of shut-off letters for non-compliant RV parks went out last week. Most of them are responding positively, and the ones that aren't will get their final shut-off notice probably Monday, and they'll be shut off if they don't make any effort to come into compliance. The second round of shut-off letters is being prepared now and probably will go out next week. So we are following up on these non-compliant parks, and we asked them to do everything they can to either come in compliance or we'll cut your utilities off. Avenue M asphalt is completed, and engineering is asking Billy and I to sit down real soon and work on the Belch's concrete package, and we'll identify the priority spots. And we'll be talking to you guys that are affected. I'll use a term, Councilman Champagne, the flux capacitor. It is, from what I understand, for the Port Sulphur water plant, it's awaiting to be shipped, or it is completed from what I understand. Trying to get a firm shipping date, but it still is planned for early October. Conservative estimate for that job to be completed is the end of the year, end of December. But again, contractors will give you that conservative. We're pushing them to get it done before then. Buildings, we had a couple of, we're continuing to have some issues with some inconsistent voltage coming into some buildings. We had an issue, I think a little bit before the storm, with the assessor's office, and come to find out, two of the three legs coming in, supposed to be 240 volts coming into the building. One was 500, one was over 650. And that'll ruin any equipment you have in your building. But I'll give them credit. Entergy was extremely quick in responding. They were out within a matter of a couple of hours and changed a faulty transformer. So they are responding, but we still are seeing some problem areas. If you guys hear of any areas like that or having some problems in any buildings, give me a call and I'll get Entergy on it as quickly as possible if we assess that is the situation. And that's all I have. Any questions? Y'all know how to find me. Thank you.
Thank you. Good afternoon. For the Arts, Parks, and Recreation report, I'll start off with programming. Tackle football season has started. Team selections were completed on this Tuesday, September 24th, and we are looking forward to starting the season on October 14th. We are also hosting our first tackle football coaches clinic with Chevron on Monday, October 7th. The coaches clinic will provide volunteer coaches with concussion awareness training, sportsmanship-like conduct training, safe tackle technique training, and a special presentation on hydration from Chevron. There are a total of 198 participants so far this season, aged 5 to 12. Let's see. And we still need volunteer coaches. If anyone is interested, they may contact the recreation office. Registration for Biddy basketball is open. Parents may visit the parish website or the recreation Facebook page for online registration details and more information. Our girls volleyball season is concluding its second week, and the season will end on Thursday, October 10th. Overall, it is an outstanding season for all the girls, and everything is going smoothly with that. Open pickleball has been extended until December 18th. The current schedule is every Wednesday from 5 to 8 p.m. at the Belle Chase Multipurpose Pavilion. Moving on to park construction projects or project updates. We are working on the restrooms at Leroy Harvey Park now, as well as the design plans for the new Diamond Park restroom facility. So looking forward to meetings on those two projects and just continuing to update our sites and be on top of those. Swing sets and nets were replaced at Blackie Barris Playground, and we're scheduling to have the play equipment cleaned and sanitized in the upcoming weeks. Other parks across the parish will also be cleaned and sanitized. We're just doing that on a rolling schedule because it's a lot of work for one person to do, so we're doing a park or two at a time. Other than that, let's see. We're hoping to have all of the parks cleaned across the parish by January 1st. So that's something I'm looking forward to. We also anticipate the fitness center at the Percy Griffin Community Center to be open at some time in October. We're still awaiting some parts from the service company, but that they have been ordered and we are looking forward to that. That concludes my report. If you all have any questions, I know you'll bring them forward after this. Thank you.
Thank you. Any comments from the audience? State your name and address.
Hi, David Clark, 108 Avenue A in Belchase. Question for Jeff. You had mentioned about the RV parks that are out of compliance.
It's not question, answer, comment. And you have to address it to the council.
Okay, RV parks that are, how are we getting them into compliance? The ones that are out of compliance right now?
I mean, they're sending out compliance letters saying what they're out of compliance on, and basically, if they're not, it sounds like they're going to cut off utilities.
Yeah, but how are we getting them in there? Are we issuing permits? Are we?
These are already ones that have permits that
It
were.
wouldn't be illegal if they had permits.
Well, no, not necessarily if they're not following the permit. Have too many RVs. If they're only, I'm just saying, permit for 10, they have 15, they're not in compliance. And then the other ones, no, we're not issuing permits if they're, I mean, that's a little bit different, but I mean, they'll have to go through the process, but.
I just didn't have any clarification on what was said there. It just said they're getting into compliance. So I'm just wondering how they're getting into compliance if they're out.
Go ahead, Mr. Jursich.
Yes, not all of these RVs are permitted. There are some illegal RVs. We're targeting those. We're targeting ones that are overpopulated.
Right.
And that's what we're going after right now, if I'm not mistaken, right, Joe?
Yes, there are some parks that have more RVs than they were permitted for. Any non-compliance, we're citing. Feel free to call my office tomorrow, and
Okay.
we'll talk about any concerns.
All right, thanks.
Thank you. Any other comments?
That pipeline ain't nowhere around here.
We're not on the pipelines yet.
we not there yet. I already got my little check mark for it. Mr. Billy, you were talking about the drainage. You know, the week before the Hurricane Francine, there was, I think it was Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. We had heavy rain. Then we didn't have rain Friday and Saturday, and then Sunday the rain came back again. The lilies for that week before the storm, the lilies actually stayed on top of the bridge. Anyone in the bridges that go across the drainage canal and grab a lily out of it. It was like a foot from the bottom of the bridges. And the storm came that Thursday after. And the pumping stations, you all know we're only 50% down in District 1 on the south side. That water went down pretty quick in between Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. They pumped, I guess, 24 hours. And if that storm would have came, we put a lot of water, it'll overflow that canal again. The water been in our yards and stuff. So I like to say that y'all did a pretty good job getting the water down those 4 days before the storm came. Although the storm didn't put a whole lot of rain, it lasted maybe 2 hours of heavy rain, and all the rest of them was drizzling. But I just like to compliment that. They did a good job with those small pumps, but we can't be taking a chance like that all the time. I want to find out from the council, y'all said a couple of months ago that we're going to have like a $1.4 million and like 64%, like, you know, that's going to put on a pumping station. So we if the storm would have put a whole lot of water and y'all didn't get the opportunity to pump the pumping station down from the heavy rain, water been in our yards. You know we can't afford that. So are we still planning on getting some money to put in the 2 pumping stations in District 1 on the south side?
I don't, I think you're talking about, we have a loan and a bond that we went after last year. Some of that work is still scheduled for District 1. It's some FEMA holdup and other holdups, but yes, that, I don't know. I don't remember exact repairs, but yes, it is still scheduled for some of it to go to District 1 to repair stations.
All right.
A lot of it, actually. And we did move the remaining, I think, courthouse bond money a couple months ago also. I think that's what you're talking about, the $1.6 million to the pump station.
Right.
So yes, that is what you're talking about now that it all came back to me. But yeah, that is still scheduled.
All right. Okay, I know it take time, but time is not to our, if we get flooded, we in serious conditions. So
Yes, sir.
appreciate it.
Any other comments from the audience?
Arthur Henry, Bell Chase. Yeah, I want to thank the councilman and the administration for repairing the streets in my neighborhood, especially Avenue M.
Any other comments from the audience? Ms. McCarty.
Mr. President, please go over what you said about the PP Go app.
It's not the 311.
So what are they going to be reporting using this app?
I'll let Shanta.
So this was the mobile app. I sent you all that information about a couple of months ago to ask you to be a part of the pilot so that you could see us through the process. So this is going to be through the Apple and the Google store. It's the government's actual mobile app where they'll be able to go on and see the council meetings. They'll be able to report concerns. They'll be able to look at calendars. So it's totally separate from what you're working on. This is what we've been planning for months, but we actually can launch it now. But we wanted him to say that it was coming out today.
Okay, so it's not to report a specific problem.
No, it's just government.
Just wondering.
No. All right.
Thanks.
That's it?
Yep.
Ms. LaFrance.
Yes. Ms. Ashley, were we able to take care of that leak in Diamond Park?
Yes, so after we spoke, I had David and Corey, my superintendent and foreman, contact Mr. Morgan at Infomar, and he said that he had a team on the way. They had been there earlier that morning because I sent the video you shared with me that night, yesterday or last night. So he said he sent a crew down this morning to see what was needed, and they needed to dig up and replace the 1/4-inch pipe. And so that was being 3/4-inch pipe. Okay, it was being worked on today, and then Recreation was down there as well with them. So I should have an update before everyone clocks off this afternoon, and I'll provide that to you. But it is being addressed.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. DeMarco, I want to talk about mosquito control. Where are we at with mosquito control about the poison? We getting reports that we don't have any more poison. Where we at with that?
We are out of chemicals. We have a budget amendment being voted on today. We can get it ordered and overnighted and be back in business within a day or two. This was held over 2 weeks ago also.
Okay. On our mosquito control, on our equipment, complaints about trucks. The year of the trucks of 2006. Or do we have any plans on purchasing new trucks?
We would love to have a whole new fleet of trucks, Councilman.
I
We
mean,
need the funding for it. That's a situation parish-wide with antiquated and old vehicles.
you know, everybody keep on talking about we charging $7. And where's the $7 is going?
That $7 covers a variety of things, not only the spraying, that covers the larvicide, that covers the traps, sending the traps off for an analysis, testing the mosquitoes for any viruses, which we've never had any positive, any cases, I would say. We have had positive tests, but we've never had any cases of human infections such as West Nile. It also covers maintenance on the vehicles. So that $7 has to be stretched a long way. The plane, the chemical for the plane, the maintenance on the plane. So that $7 a month has to be stretched out pretty thinly.
So if we pass this legislation today for extra money, how long does it take for us to get the poison in?
We could overnight it.
Overnight?
Yes, sir.
So we'll have it by the weekend or by Monday?
As soon as that vote is taken, I'm gonna send a text out to hit the go button.
Grass cutting. What time do our people go to work?
7 to 3:30 is the normal.
7 to 3:30.
Now, that may fluctuate depending on circumstances, but normally it's 7 to 3:30.
And we are contracting grass cutting out, right?
Some all over the parish, different things, yes, and looking to do more.
Can you let us know why we have our tractors parked at 9 o'clock in the morning?
Okay.
And the contractors is cutting grass, but our tractors are parked for 9 o'clock.
Okay, I'll find out and get you. And look, I may even work on a schedule to say, hey, this tractor will be down at this time.
They're all three of them were side by side.
Right. I'll give you an example. This coming Monday, Prom is going to be setting up tables and chairs at Empire.
Mm-hmm.
Those tractors are going to be parked. Those are scenarios that happen all over the time sometimes. There's all kinds of other things that when you're shorthanded, you got to pool all your manpower together to get multiple tasks done. Sometimes it affects the tractor.
So we was we was setting up tables and chairs last Monday?
No, this Monday coming.
Or the Monday before?
This Monday coming, we'll be doing that. So if you see.
Because when I came up to the port meeting, and I go up for 9 o'clock, and I
Yeah.
passed by Point LaHash by the ferry, all three of them was parked.
Yeah, I can follow up and see what they were doing that Monday for you.
All right, thank you. I finished.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Look, not to particular anyone, but I just, through Hurricane Francine, I just wanted to give a thank you and a shout out to our local businesses and stuff that provided meals for our residents in Plaquemines Parish. Again, you know who you are. I don't have to go into a big ordeal with it, but we just want to thank you how much it went for the residents. They were all in the shelter, Plaquemines Parish residents, and the businesses were able to feed them some breakfast and lunch. So I wanted to just thank them. Thank you. I yield.
Yes, again, I want to go back to Billy about the subcontractors for cutting the grass because, and I want to thank you for the hurricane bringing me down to look at the pumping station, but there's enormous amount of lilies still there. We still got ditches with trees coming out of it. And so I'm wondering if these subcontractors, and I don't understand that process, could be used because this ditch on Highway 39 is getting worse. I mean, probably I came across them. They went in and dug the ditch out, and the dirt stood on the side of the road for about 3 years. But I'm saying it's not as bad as it are, but I'm just wondering, since we're talking about subcontractors, can it also be used to clean that ditch out because it's going to be back to how it was a few years ago?
We're looking at subs for all, supplementing all departments doing things like that.
So where
Lilies and cutting is two separate things now.
So we have a grant to do this, to be paying these people?
No.
I mean, where are the funds coming for
We're
this?
using professional services funds that we already have budgeted to do some of that. You guys contributed some extra money to go through the rest of this year to increase that for some subcontracting.
Yeah, because really I wondered, and I thought that's where Mr. LaFrance was going at, when he was talking about the time our people go to work. And I was wondering, can that money be used for special money to give more hours to the employees to cut grass later? I was just wondering about that.
And look, and we're killing overtime as well.
Say that again?
We're hitting overtime pretty hard as well, so
Okay.
it's not for a lack of grass cutting, but.
Okay. And what else I had? So yeah, that grass cutting piece was the other piece I had. And you said the A boom is working, but I haven't seen a lot of use of it on this end.
Yeah.
Take care of that for the day, Mr. Edwards.
It's been working a lot on the north end.
And I want to go back to Jeff, when he was talking about the RVs, and notice going out for people not being in compliance, and mentioning something about overcrowded. I'm really lost in terms of what that's really about. When we say something's over, there's too many RVs, I'm confused. How can there be too many RVs?
There's several situations going on. Some parks are popping up that are not permitted at all. Some parks that are permitted for, let's say, 9 spots or 15 spots have 25 trailers in them. So they're out of compliance according to what they are permitted for, or if they're permitted at all. So we are citing these folks. They get multiple letters to come into compliance, and if they don't come into compliance in a period of time, we send a letter out stating that we will shut your utilities off.
So let me understand, I got a permit for a trailer park for 20 RVs, and then I put in 35.
Mm-hmm.
How can I do that?
Show up in the middle of
They,
the night.
Say that again?
They show up, they run their water lines and show up in the middle of the night.
So you mean I will connect that to existing water line?
Yes, sir. And just tie into existing water lines and existing electrical infrastructure.
So how are we
First of all,
notified?
it's a safety issue, for one thing,
So how you notified that I have 15 more on my property?
because either
And if
your
I-
neighbor or the
Okay.
inspector takes pictures and sends it to us.
So this inspector have a daily route there, he routinely or is
They,
random?
they,
go out?
they do zones. We have several of them that's riding around, and they do zones, inspecting the permitted parks, and they're familiar with the zones, and if they see something pop up that's not permitted, then we'll address those as well. But we rarely rely on you guys and the public to let us know things that are going on as well. We don't know what we don't see.
So what, did they pay a fine, they move the trailer, or do we revoke them from ever having any RVs or revoke the whole contract because of the fact that they did it? Seems like to me, if I get a agreement that I'm going to put 20 and I get 15, seems like to me, there should be something that we should be able to revoke the contract altogether. But that
Yes, sir.
comment, because that to me should be a serious violation, rather than going out there and just putting a little sticker saying, what is the fine? What is the fine for not being in compliance for doing this?
That's something that permits and Rennie with the legal department is working out.
You mean we don't have nothing in place now?
Mr. Chair, if I
Yes.
could.
Yeah.
Mr. Newsom has an item on the agenda for new business. I mean, it kind of goes in lines what we're talking about right now. I'd like for Mr. Burris to be able to just explain everything that we're doing that goes along with what you're asking the questions as far as code enforcement and creating what you would call a city court for these non-compliant and individuals that just refuse to come in compliance. So, Rennie, you want to touch base on that? I mean, that's okay?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, there's a couple authorities. I mean, permits has general state authority to shut off power and electricity, and that obviously gets everyone's notice like real quick. That's something you can do real fast, especially if it's a safety hazard and whatnot. So that's one of the first tools in the toolbox. The second toolbox is, yes, there are fines and penalties that we can fine them for. Typically, we try to work with people who, maybe necessarily not in compliance, but it wasn't ill will, it wasn't malicious, they didn't, purposely do something wrong. I usually let the permit office determine how they handle that with all these individuals. But yeah, if someone's obviously abusing the system, if somebody's tapping into our water lines and they're not supposed to be tapping in our water lines, there's all kinds of things. We could shut down the entire park. We can fine them. We can, do a bunch of different things. What the parish president's talking about also is that I've been working with Dr. Gooey on this, that we're pushing for in our current budget as we present that to the council and move forward in 2025 is we're going to have a program where all the nuisances, RV violations, all of those things will go before a hearing officer and hopefully we'll get some rapidity on that we've been lacking in the past and whatnot. So, and obviously only recently we beefed up the permit office so that we have an inspector actually going out and do all these inspections. Because if the legal department doesn't have the information in front of it, Mr. Riley's going to be handling these for us. You know, there's not much for us to do. So we're building a record. We're out there shutting off power. It's my understanding word's getting out there that the parish is, you know, going to be aggressive on this. Hopefully we get better compliance. So it's a process. It's a process, and we got to start somewhere. I didn't tell permits where to start. They're choosing it based off the dangerousness of each location and, you know, whatever they think. So we allow that to them. If they get no cooperation or if there's some significant violations, then they make a referral to us, and then we'll pursue things from there.
I'm still trying to get answer to my question. So as of right now, those person who was permitted for 20 and put 15 more on it, we don't have nothing in procedure to handle them for doing that. That's all I'm trying to find out.
Well,
do we have something in place? What they did?
Yeah, I mean, they're shutting the power off. I mean, they can shut down the power, and they can make them remove the 5 trailers because they're not properly permitted. And if you were only permitted for 9, anything above 9 requires council approval. So the administration couldn't even give them the extra 2 if they wanted to give them the extra 2. So each situation is a little unique. It's a little different, but yeah, we have a bunch of tools in our toolbox to move forward on this stuff.
Can I say something?
Yeah.
Can y'all please include something to do with slumlords?
I'm sorry, say that again?
Slumlords.
Oh, slumlords, yeah.
Yes, could you please include that also?
That is included in this code enforcement, because this is one of the, this is where the city court concept, this is where the city court come into, this is where the idea came to us, because there's residents, buildings throughout the whole parish that, heck, since Katrina, and even prior, probably some of these facilities might even go back to Betsy and Camille. But we really, that's, yes, to answer your question, now that you know how to build the watch here, so.
All right. First of all, am I on? Yeah. Okay. Billy, thank you for that pump operator that you put at District 3 for the storm. I know that was a main concern for District 3, and she was out there pretty much the whole time, either in her truck or running the pump, and also getting that backup generator in place for that storm. I know that was a ordeal getting it from Houston and all that, but thank you. Jeff, on the concrete package, again, Schlief, the manhole at Schlief and Church Point, that has to be like number 1 or 2 before it falls in.
One of the priorities.
Okay. And then the other thing is, I know we got at least 1 new mosquito truck last year through that LGAP, and I saw it this morning. That's the only reason why I know it's fairly new. So we are working on getting a new fleet. I know we didn't get the LGAP grant this year, but since we mentioned that, so we do have at least 1, if not 2. I can't remember how many we got last year for mosquito control. I yield. Mr. Kogovich.
Yeah, I'll start on grass cutting. I know we paid a guy to cut Highway 23. We need to teach him to put it down lower. Maybe go in first gear and rev it up a little, cut it lower.
I'll work on that.
But I find we cutting less and less grass. We make 1 pass, not even a 15-foot pass on Highway 11 to Buras River Road, Bootville River Road. And 3 feet, 4 feet away from the road, you got over 6 feet of grass. So need to start cutting. We used to cut at least 2 15-foot ones. Now we only cutting maybe 6. The ditches, every time I bring up a ditch, I hear we don't know which one we have the right of way on. Well, you have the right of way on every one of them. We don't know the ones down the road, but we know we own ditches right of ways in Jesuit Bend North, because we cutting them all the time. I never see one cut down the road, but I know I watched one guy on an excavator with a cutter cutting ditches every day.
But it's not for us because we don't own any excavators with a cutter.
We got a contractor cutting with an excavator, right?
That's only in 4 spots.
Yeah. He's still cutting. I ain't got none cut. And I know we own the right of way because the ditches, people didn't dig their own ditch. The parish dug them. People might have covered their own ditch, put a pipe in it and covered it. If they did that and it's caving in, I think that's on them. But if the people left the ditch, we need to cut them. Then on driveways and lanes, this was done in 2012. Shows you every road the parish has, public and private. I've been calling about Jules Lane, District 9, says it's public. Y'all say it's private. Well, in 1942, the parish bought the right-of-way for the Trump pumping plant. Goes from the highway to the pumping plant. And they said, oh, it goes to Highway 23. Highway 23 wasn't there in 1942. It wasn't there till 80. So it went to Highway 11. So that's the road it comes from.
We can
Last week, I had to go pull the man out with his boat.
Let's sit and discuss that list because you didn't share that with me. And my list has 25 on it.
I've told you that.
And again, a right-of-way, right of entry, servitude, it doesn't mean the parish owns it. It doesn't mean
You
the
don't
parish
own
has
it,
to-
you own the right-of-way. You own the servitude.
Gives us use of it. That's all
That's
that
right.
guarantees is use of it.
So you gotta cut them.
That's not true. But let's discuss it and work on it.
And it came around probably 10 years ago. They went and put a pipe on the outfall ditches. Well, we don't just cut the outfall ditches because other ditches come to that outfall ditch. And now we're not even cutting the outfall ditches.
The short answer would be to help identify ditches, right? If you had a property that was 100 acres and it was divided into 10-acre plots and sold, some people cut ditches. Maybe the parish did it 100 years ago, 50 years ago.
I can tell you the
That
parish.
does not make it a parish-owned ditch.
Never said the
We have
parish.
several
Parish
ditches in
owns the
Jesuit.
right of way.
Okay, that just gives us a right of way to go on it. It doesn't mean we
To
own it.
dig the
We have to
ditch
go on it.
and keep it cut. I don't know, when did this go away? 2012, we followed this book for every road we got. Now, the last 6 years, they say this isn't right. Since when did it go right?
I don't know about what happened 6 years ago, but I've only been here since '23. You haven't shared that list. I have a list that has 25. If that's the same list, it's the same, but if it's not, it's not. Let's get
2012.
together and compare a list, and we'll see what's on it.
Oh, look, I don't go by list. If there's a list that exists and the council adopted a list by ordinance and said all of these streets are in fact public, that's fine. Whoever drafted that list, they probably maybe relied on some documents. I didn't look at every legal document to determine every single street. So I can't say what the list says, what the list doesn't say. When someone brings an issue to the legal department and a property owner saying one thing and a council member saying something else, I'll take a look and investigate it myself to make my own determination about whether or not I think something is legal or not legal. So that's how I approach things. What you're talking about now, I don't honestly remember. I know we've talked about several different ditches down there. So just from a legal point of view, when these issues come up, I look at them one by one because that's kind of how I treat them. I don't just say, oh, well, we have a list from 1982, so all of this is absolutely public, because if it's not public, it don't matter what the list says. If it's private and we go on it, well, then we're trespassing and we're violating somebody's property. So I generally rely on the men in the field. They're the ones who know what we've been doing and how long we've been doing it. And as issues come up, I look at them one by one. That's all I can tell you.
And the Recreation Department, thank you. I seen them working on the Lee Harvey Park bathrooms.
Yes, sir.
We need to remember Fort Jackson's a park too.
Yes, I have it on my list. I haven't forgotten.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Reverend Edwards.
Yeah, I hope, Renee, that I just saw the list the first time from Mr. Conovich, and I was wondering because a lot of streets on there, people were saying was on that list, but I was told opposite. So I hope that you can look at the list and confirm whether it's happening. I think it could be an old list and maybe stuff changed, but so we could be on the same page, because I went there and immediately give it to me. One street that somebody's questioning me on was saying was public, and we were saying it private. On that list is saying it's public. So I just think we don't need to have a whole bunch of lists around. We need to confirm that. So, because if I would just take his list, because he give it to me, and the resident come to me, I would say, well, this is right. But if that list is wrong, we need to verify it's wrong. If it's right, then we need to use that list. So I just hope we can get that list, because I made a copy of it today, because there are some things that on that list that people have been telling me that, but I've been getting opposite, that it's not true.
So a prime example of this is Wilson Street, right? We just had this issue on Wilson Street. Everyone's complaining about Wilson Street. It's private, it's it's public and all this. And look, I did my own research. I came to my own conclusion. I don't know if the people were satisfied with that. I think a lot of people think I just say no to say no. We did a title research on it, and we spent about $5,000 to determine that it's in fact private. So look, I don't have time to review every street that exists in this parish to determine whether or not it's public or private. That's why I address the issues as they come up, and we take a look at them at that time. So we recently did that. It's very expensive to go back and necessarily look at all that, especially if one of my guys or I don't have the time to do that. And lately with hurricanes and saltwater and all kind of other stuff, we haven't had the time. So I agree with you. I think as there ought to be a master list, and as we verify them, we check them and notate why and how we have concluded that whatever's on that list is accurate, and the ones that aren't, as they come up, we'll just keep addressing them, and we just do the best we can.
That's all I'm asking.
All right.
Wilson's private in this list.
I'm sorry?
Wilson's private on this list.
Okay, yeah, well, now we know it's private, but a lot of the residents were insisting it wasn't private, so.
She got it from when Marla Cooper was the council person. That's when she's been having it for that long.
All right. Nobody else is in the queue. Next item, please.
5, bids and advertisements. There are none. 6, beer and liquor licenses. We need to add 2.
We'll have to, Rennie, Danny, we got to suspend to add those 2, correct? So read those 2 where we can just suspend it, and then we'll take them all at that point.
Jesuit Bin Market in the Park on October 26, 2024, starting at 9 a.m. and ending at 2 p.m. Jesuit Bin Haunted Trail event on October 19th, 2024, starting at 3 p.m. and ending at 8:30 p.m. Councilmember Jurisic.
All right. Offered by Mr. Jurisic for suspension. Do I have a second? Second by Mr. Conovich. Any comments from the audience? From the table, or administration? From the table. Machines are open for suspension. To add. Ms. LaFrance. All right. It is suspended to be added. So now we'll take all of them in global.
YMCA of Greater New Orleans Tailgate Cook-Off fundraiser located at Empire Safe Harbor on November 16th, 2024, starting at 12 o'clock p.m. and ending at 7 o'clock p.m. Croatian American Society wine tasting located at 220 Croatian Way, Belchase, Louisiana, 70037 on October 19th, 2024, starting at 6 o'clock p.m. and ending at 10 o'clock p.m. Fishing for Charities Incorporated, located at 106 Blue Heron Lane, Port Sulphur, Louisiana, 70083 on October 18th, 2024 and October 19th, 2024, starting at 12 o'clock p.m. and ending at 6 o'clock p.m. Jesuit Bin Market in the Park on October 26, 2024, starting at 9 o'clock a.m. and ending at 2 o'clock p.m. Jesuit Bin Haunted Trail event on October 19th, 2024, starting at 3 p.m. and ending at 8:30 p.m. Councilmember Jurisic.
Second.
Offered by Mr. Jurisic, second by Ms. LaFrance. Any comments from the audience? Administration? Table? Machines are open. Passes 8 to nothing with one abstention from Mr. Konovich. Next item, please, we'll take a 1, 2, 3, and 4 in globo.
Construction permits. Venture Global Plaquemines LNG LLC, application number 2024-191, application date 8/7/24, River Water Pump House, 2200 Highway 23, Port Sulphur. Chevron Pipeline Company, application number 2024-974, application date 8/29/24, proposed maintenance dredging for the Empire Tanker Dock, Empire Terminal, Mississippi River at mile 27. Hillcorp Energy Company, application number 2024-989, application date 6/1/24, P&A, the SL 12036 SWD number 2 well and remove an associated production barge, Bay Baptiste. Hillcorp Energy Company, application number 990, application date 8/27/24, P&A, the SL 2104 number 9 well and remove an associated flow line, Lake Washington.
Somebody offer? Offer by Mr. Jurisic.
Second.
Second by Ms. LaFrance. Any comments from the audience? Yes, sir. Mr. Brox. Oh, state your name.
No, not coming close to you.
Clarence Blocks, 156 Enos Campbell Lane. Construction permits. I see a lot of these construction permits is industrial companies, mostly chemicals like Chevron and Hillcorp Energy. That's a lot of dredging, and the one that says, but the dredging, is they going to dredge in the Mississippi River when we have these problems with the salt water already, or they're going to be in a little channel somewhere, and they're going to affect the water? That's a lot of industrial companies want to come in the parish on both sides of the river.
Sure, yeah. Yeah, it's right next to, here, go ahead, Mr. Cognovich.
I think Chevron be dredging out their dock so the ship could get next to it.
Yeah.
To load and unload.
In the Mississippi River?
Yes, sir.
And it's going to affect the water?
No.
Fresh water, okay. All right. It's just that a lot of construction company coming into the parish, and a lot of it is industrial forest pipelines and stuff.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Any other comments on this? Administration? Table? Machines are open. Passes 8-0 with one abstention from Mr. Cognovich. We will take B and D in Globo.
Peter Vunovich Jr., new elevated camp in an FP zoning district, 690 Martin Lane, Port Sulphur, Louisiana. Zen Farmlands by Serenity LLC, business occupancy, converting an existing building for an event space and commercial kitchen to accommodate functions to be held on the property, 3486 Highway 39, Brathwaite, Louisiana.
Second.
Who offered?
Mr. Edwards.
Mr. Edwards, offered by Reverend Edwards, second by Mr. LaFrance. Any comments from the audience? Administration? Table?
Mr. Brox,
Mr. Brock, sorry.
get you a chair up here.
It's on D, the Zen farmland by security. Is that an existing building that have all electric and water and sewage and already that they don't have to elevate?
Correct. It's a converting an existing building for an event space and commercial kitchen, so it's just existing building.
Existing building. Okay.
Any other comments from the audience? Administration? Table? Machines are open. Passes 9-0. Next item, please.
Judy Daigle and Daniel Trosclair, Blue Dog RV Park, final approval, new 36-space permanent RV park, Prody Drive and Blue Dog Lane, Belchase, Louisiana. Councilmember Newsom.
I offer an act for a second.
Do I have a second? Do I have a second by Councilmember Champagne? Any comments from the audience? State your name and address, please.
Rick Jackson, 126 Gondrella Drive. I was looking for clarification on the location of this trailer park. And secondly, I thought there was a stoppage of RV parks in Belchase.
I'll take
Mr. Newsom.
This is on the end of Prody Drive. You go all the way down Prody Drive, it makes a little zigzag and goes down back
Okay.
toward that base property. It's all the property that's on the left side that they.
I was gonna say, because that's been back there for a year.
Yeah, it's been zoned, it's MA
Full of
zoned.
trailers. It's already got trailers on it.
In the front, they have a few trailers that were approved by
They
this
got the
council.
trailers on the right too.
Yeah, and that's all been, yeah, that's resident, I shouldn't say residential.
No,
That's people,
in the park. You don't have to believe me, you can look
Yeah,
for yourself.
I believe it.
And the second part was the stoppage of RV parks in Bell Chase.
this was, you talking about the executive order, President
Talking
Hinckley?
about how this permit's being permitted in Bell Chase. Didn't we stop all the ones in Bell Chase?
No, this is zone.
This was already zone mobile home. That's north of a certain point has to be zone mobile home.
RV is the same?
Yes. And then, but there's no,
For the zoning law.
for a permanent park, for a temporary park, there is no north of basically St. Jude. But this is,
These aren't permanent. These are definitely RV parks, but what's the one that's going in right now on Concord Road?
Oh,
The new one?
well, I've spoke with the developer, and he's just clearing the property. He doesn't have any current permit to do any construction or build anything there. There's no permit, so he's just clearing the property right now.
And then we got plenty of water and drainage and sewage in that area to handle this amount of trailers going in that little area. Already, Ronnie, you know,
Yeah.
we get just a little bit of rain and sewage comes out of the,
Well, as you well know, we
for 2 or 3 days.
yeah, we're spending, the government has spent, this body right here and has appropriated some monies, a lot of monies to fix Concord. The fix Concord was a sewer issue. The sewer line caved in, that's why the road caved in.
Yeah,
So
you know how long that's been caved in?
that's been long since,
10 years.
yeah, well, you've lived there longer than I have. But yeah, since I've moved back there, it's been a problem. So, but it is being addressed now, the sewer issue, water. I don't see any problem with water systems back there at all.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
any other comments from the audience? Administration? Mr. Edwards?
And I guess the longer I stay here, the more I get confused on RVs. At 1 minute, we're saying we're doing a moratorium, and then for some reason, we're still coming back. For whatever the reason is, allowing RV. I think the public getting a mixed message from us, because I don't see no consistency setting up here as a councilman, how we saying we're gonna stop, and then we finding some reason or another to let other ones in. Either we gonna stop it, or we not. Because to me, and I hear from people asking me all the time about it, and most of what people saying to me, you know, especially on the West Bank, that certain people who are connected, allowed to do things, and now that they're in, we're stopping it. And if somebody's connected, we make it wrong. To me, I'm beginning to wonder if people are right about it. I'm not saying they're right, but I can't see how we can say we're gonna do a moratorium and then we come back and allow people. To me, we're sending mixed messages. That's my personal opinion.
Hold on. All right, you're on.
So there's currently no moratorium that was set by the council. That was lifted. The existing moratorium was issued under the disaster declaration for saltwater because Inframark explained to us that they didn't want any, until we clear these hurdles, they didn't want any extra demands on the system, especially while we were testing out these interconnects and all these different issues. So there is a moratorium on new RV parks and new RV spaces. However, there was an exception, and that exception was for anyone who got conditional approval before we did the state of emergency. And the reason for that is under the conditional approval rules, we basically told the individual, yes, you're conditionally approved to move forward with this, and they went ahead and did what they were supposed to do. And to come back after the fact and say, oh, well, now we're saying no. And it was a small number. I don't have the numbers in front of me, but the ones that were already conditionally approved was not a huge number. So the reason they're coming in or they're allowed is because they received a conditional approval prior to the state of emergency. But under the President's state of emergency order, there shall be no new RV parks or, in fact, spaces from the point of the state of emergency going forward until that order is lifted.
You done, Representative Edwards? So I get that he had temporary approval, but I think we're playing double standards here on that banning through the executive or the state of emergency. My thing is we knew this salt water was coming, and then all of a sudden we threw this in there, but we just voted on Blue Dog, what, 2 months ago? We knew salt water was coming 2 months ago. Why, if we were this stressed out and we're adding 36 new, I understand he already had conditional approval, but we're still adding 36 spots. If we're that stressed on our water system and sewer system, and I'm sorry, I got sewer system that's getting fed up through, we had a meeting on Monday.
Your authority is right now, from gavel to gavel.
No, I get it.
You can vote this down.
Oh, I know how I'm going to vote, but I'm just saying, if we're that stressed out, then why did we not know about this 2 months ago?
And we are stressed out, okay? Our water system is very well, and it is really stressed out. So there's no denying that, okay? So like I said, you have the authority right now.
I get it. I'm just saying, because we had that sewer issue on Monday, and we had that talk where it's all coming from down the road, not down the road, but
about it.
So I'm just not happy with this the way it's.
There you go. Your authority is right now, so.
Okay, so that's my comments. I hit all my comments. Ms. Kogovich.
I was gonna bring up the same issue with no more permits since the state of emergency. But since it's a temporary use permit, I don't remember giving a voting on saying, well, if you came back, we'll give you another one.
I don't think this is a comeback. I think that there was a conditional approval. Because it's 36 spaces, it had to come before the council.
Yeah,
So,
he had the conditional use for 9. Now he's coming for 36.
wait, I'm sorry? No, he should have had a conditional use for 36 spaces. It's 36 spaces, new spaces. He would have had to get that conditionally approved before the council because the administration can't approve anything above 9. So
Why are we redoing this then? If we gave him a conditional use on 36 lots, why we need to give him a permanent?
this is the final approval. So he came to you and said, I want to put, and now look, I don't have this in front of me and I didn't know this was going to be a hot topic. I would have brought more information, but the council would have conditionally approved him moving forward with 36 new spaces. He would have had to put the infrastructure in. He would have had to do all this stuff. Now it's coming back before the council to say, hey, you all conditionally approved me for 36 spaces. I put the water line in. I put the sewer line in. I did everything I was supposed to do. I'm now asking for final approval. And what you have before you is the engineers and everybody saying, yes, what they said they were going to do comports with the law. And so here is the final approval.
I got people that did the same thing, went through the permit process, and now they can't get their electricity hooked up on temporary spots because we got a state of emergency stopping all the permits.
No, the state of emergency was to be any new permits is my understanding. So if something was conditionally approved, like I said, the reason we allowed that to go through was because we basically told the property owner if they did certain things that they would get the permit. It's
these are people with 2 lots.
Well,
and they stopping them from getting the electric.
Well, you would have to give me those examples. I'd have to go to the permit office and find out exactly what the issue is. So I can't comment.
That's the issue. The state of emergency can't give out the permit.
Have you talked to Jeff? Have you reached out to Jeff?
I've been getting calls all week.
No, but have you reached out to Jeff, Mr. DeMarco? Have you called him?
Reached out to Ms. Amitra.
Okay, well, reach out to Jeff if you would, okay? Give him those addresses and give him those different facilities.
We'll look at, just let me know. We'll look into it.
Ms. McCarty.
I'd like to know our perception or opinion on whether we let this go through and then at 9L, we're going to vote on whether or not to have a 6-month moratorium on RVs. I just wondering about the perception of that. That's all.
Is that your yield?
Yeah, I'd like people to comment.
Mr. Newsom.
Yes, back to answer the questions. And it's just like, look, no, and pun on words with this Blue Dog RV, but I'm just bringing this up because these folks followed the rules set forth by this body. right here. It was brought to us, and I don't have the dates on it again, for us to give a permit for conditional use, which what met, this Blue Dog RV went through the process, as what Rennie said, spent money. And I agree with Mr. Konovich. I don't even think, really, and it's done with us, and I've spoken to Danny and Rennie about this, about why does this even come back to the government? As long as we've approved them already, this should go through permits, through engineering. This goes through engineering. Everybody signed off on it, including this council. So, and look, everybody votes the way they want to vote and move on, and no things there.
Mr. Champagne.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I agree with Mr. Newsom. I'm looking at the original application was May 2nd, 2023. They did everything by the numbers and got approval. They finished their construction. They have a significant investment here, and they're looking at putting 36.
Oh, sorry. Wait, hold on. I accidentally cleared you. There you go. You're back on.
So they made a significant investment here. They followed all the rules, and we made it clear when we had the emergency declaration that if you already had a process in place, that you can continue with your process. They're in that process and they're done. I have a lot of questions regarding this. I think Mr. Kognovich touched on something. We've shut down. Well, apparently we have a much more severe water crisis than I was even aware of now, because if we can't let somebody open up 2 trailers and we're that bad off, and based on some of the conversations I've had with Infomark, trailers have an insignificant load on the water system as opposed to a business or a home, a residential home. We're not even discussing residential homes. So where are we at on this? Are we going to stop construction in the parish? Are we going to stop industry? Are we going to stop homes? I need to know. I've asked a number of times, what is our production versus consumption rate? And I've got nothing. I think we need to stick to our rules. These folks did everything by the numbers. They need to be approved. And if we're that critical of water, which I was unaware of because we've had a number of conversations, I've been elected saying that we're producing more water now than we ever have done. We just did significant upgrades to Bell Chase. I think we're producing 7 million gallons of water a day. We also we're supposed to be we put a water booster pump to be able to push water down the low end of the parish. That's functioning. We got this part that's supposed to be installed that doubles the capacity of water in Port Sulphur from 1.5 million gallons to 3 million gallons a day. So I know a little bit about the water. We're doing our research, but it seems like are we missing something? I don't know. Now, sewage is another issue. I know we have some sewer problems. I don't know if this facility is tying into the sewer or has their own wastewater treatment facility. I don't know. But I think right now we don't have a clear understanding of our issues, water, sewer. I don't know. Sometimes we even talk about trash cans. I think we need to get a better handle on this. I think right now, and I'm not pointing a finger at anybody, I think us as an entire governing body, we need to do a better job of getting information out of our constituents. The way I feel on this is that we clearly stated that if you had started the process, you could continue the process. Even though we opened this up for 36 slots, I don't see 36 trailers moving in tomorrow and putting a burden on the water. So I think they followed the rules. They did everything by the numbers. And I can tell you now, I am going to vote for this because they did the right thing. But I would ask that we become more clear, as Reverend Edwards pointed out, that we seem to be all over the place. So I need some more information. But on this one, I think I stand firm. They did everything by the numbers, and we should acknowledge that. I yield.
Mr. Schultz, just make one last comment.
Yes, go ahead.
That way you guys can move on. Ms. Champagne, let's get together and we've got the production and what we know, but it's the lines that they're concerned with. So we need to sit down and give you that answer. Okay. Yeah.
So while I agree with you, Councilmember Champagne, on the date of the application of May 2nd in the process, what's aggravating, concerning, I don't know what the correct word is in March, we voted for a 6-month extension of the old declaration of emergency, state of emergency, that went through June 18, 2024. So if we're now all of a sudden this water crisis, how weren't we in this water crisis back in March when we extended it, but didn't have that in there? While I agree he followed the process and everything, if we're in the, again, the way this is all being done, I'm not a fan of. And I don't know how I'm going to vote because, like you said, he did follow the process, but at the same time.
Mr. Chairman,
So-
I defer this item. No, end this.
Just real quick, it's not that there's a water crisis. It's that when we were in the EOC dealing with saltwater intrusion, we are doing all kind of tests on the lines and systems. We're closing valves, we're opening valves. We're trying to figure out a way to get as much water to Port Sulphur as possible. And our operator, Inframark, told us that especially in the Port Sulphur area, there are significantly weak lines. And they were very concerned as we were testing pressure, as we were trying all these different maneuvers to ensure we can get water down the road, that putting more burdens on the system, especially in that area, could potentially cause a problem. So when we're trying to solve one crisis, we didn't want to introduce another crisis into the line. So it's not that there's a quote unquote water crisis, it's that we were trying to not compound a problem while we were trying to solve an existing problem. And if something as serious as getting water down the road, we didn't want to interfere with that. And so we took the advice. It's not that the administration wanted to create some new rules to make things complicated or whatever. We took the advice of our water operator who said any more compromises on these lines could make things more difficult for us. That's why we made the decision we made.
Okay. You want to defer for now?
Yes, item will be deferred.
All right. We'll defer C for now until we can get some clearer answers, and we still have, we're still good on the time too. So, all right. Next item, 8, please.
Introduction of ordinances and resolutions. An ordinance to amend the 5-year capital improvement plan, repairs, fire stations, parish-wide project, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Councilmember Schultz. An ordinance to amend the 5-year capital improvements plan, playground equipment, Brathwaite Park project, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Councilmember Edwards. A resolution authorizing and directing the parish president or his designee to do all things necessary and proper to provide assistance to the Plaquemines Community Development Group and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. An ordinance to propose an amendment to the Plaquemines Parish Charter for local self-government to establish a commission as the governing authority of the Plaquemines Port Harbor and Terminal District in lieu of the Plaquemines Parish Council to call a special election to submit the proposed amendment to voters and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Councilmember Gooey. An ordinance by the Plaquemines Parish Council as and on behalf of the West Bank Levy District to acquire new temporary work area easements and certain portions of land in Plaquemines Parish, Louisiana by appropriation to construct the New Orleans to Venice NOV and FW 05A1 La Roussite to Myrtle Grove, Plaquemines Parish, Louisiana for levee, flood wall, drainage, flood access, and hurricane protection purposes and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Councilmember LaFrance. A resolution authorizing Plaquemines Parish government to declare parcel number 8400-500, the LSU Ag Center, surplus property and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Councilmember Jurisic. A resolution to establish a policy of the parish government with regard to the access to contracts by members of the parish council and to direct the parish president and the administrative employees of the parish to provide copies of requested contracts pertaining to professional services and to provide with otherwise with respect thereto. Councilmember Kotnovich.
Thank you.
An ordinance approving a plan of re-subdivision of former Empire Menhaden Co. Incorporated Albert Sidney Johnson property, Empire Plaquemines Parish, Louisiana, into lots 10A and 10B, Albert Sidney Johnson property, Empire Plaquemines Parish, Louisiana, as shown on the plan and plat of survey by Dufresne Surveying and Engineering Incorporated, dated June 11, 2024, the owners having fulfilled all the requirements of the subdivision and re-subdivision ordinance of the parish of Plaquemines, without cost to the Plaquemines Parish government or the parish of Plaquemines, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Councilmember Kotnovich. And an ordinance to amend and readopt Chapter 13 of the Parish Code of Ordinances by enacting Article 10, Food Truck Regulations, establishing the rules and regulations regarding the permitting, operation, and sale of food products from mobile vehicles in Plaquemines Parish, Louisiana, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Councilmember Newsom. An ordinance to accept An offer from Louisiana Department of Transportation and Development to purchase servitude rights from Plaquemines Parish and parcel number 115D1 for the Belchase Bridge and Tunnel Project, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Councilmember McCarty.
Thank you. All right, the ones that I know about right now on deferrals or withdrawals is we are withdrawing 9T, because we voted on that. That was a suspension at the last meeting that we voted on. 9T
I see.
is withdrawn. T, Tango.
Tango.
Tyrone, man.
Tyrone. We are withdrawing 9W. Whiskey. I knew you were going to say something. That's the only two that I know of, I think.
9-4 deferred.
9 what? 4? A4? 9A4. Oh, yeah, that's right. Deferred. Any other ones?
9A4.
Anybody else has any deferrals or withdrawals that I don't know about? All right. So we have 9A4 deferred, 9T Tyrone deferred or withdrawn, and 9W Wilco withdrawn. Next item, please.
Nine, ordinances and resolutions on second reading and final passage. 9A, ordinances and public hearings pursuant to Article 6, Section 601E of the Plaquemines Parish Charter. 9A1, an ordinance approving a plan of re-subdivision of the property of J. Raj Indran and Raja Rajan Sundaraj Lot C4 Grants Plantation, Section 41. T19S R28E, Plaquemines Parish, Louisiana, into lots C4A, C4B, C4C, and C4D. Grants Plantation, Section 41, T19S R28E, Plaquemines Parish, Louisiana, as shown on the plan and plat of survey by Dufran Surveying and Engineering Incorporated dated June 14, 2022. The owner having fulfilled all of the requirements of the subdivision and re-subdivision ordinance of the parish of Plaquemines, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Councilmember LaFrance.
So offered.
Offered by Ms. LaFrance, second by Ms. McCarty. Any comments from the audience?
Hi, David Clark, 108 Avenue A in Belchase. Do we know what the plans were with re-subdividing?
I spoke to Amitra today. She told me, no, the only thing we have that they splitting the property, dividing the property into 4.
Okay.
The only information we have.
Okay.
And they met all the requirements.
Okay, thanks.
Any other comments from the audience? Administration? Table? Machines are open. Passes 9-0. Next item, please.
An ordinance approving a plan of re-subdivision of the property of John Ankar Estate, Tract 29, Grand Bayou Village, Plaquemines Parish, Louisiana, Section 20, T18S, R27E, into Tracts 29-1 and 29-2, Grand Bayou Village, Plaquemines Parish, Louisiana, Section 20, T18S, R27E, as shown on a plat of re-subdivision by Bryant Hammett and Associates, certified by U. McCurdy III. PLS dated June 10, 2024, the owner having fulfilled all the requirements of the subdivision and re-subdivision ordinance of the parish of Plaquemines without cost to the Plaquemines Parish government or the parish of Plaquemines, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Councilmember LaFrance.
So offered.
Offered by Mr. LaFrance, second by Mr. Jursich. Any comments from the audience? Administration? Council? Machines are open. Passes 9-0. Next item, please.
An ordinance approving a plan of re-subdivision of the property of HMR Properties LLC, Lot E1, Buras, Plaquemines Parish, Louisiana, Sections 40 and 41, T19S, R28E into E1A and E1B, Buras, Plaquemines Parish, Louisiana, Sections 40 and 41, T19S, R28E, as shown on the plan and plat of re-subdivision by Dragon Limited Incorporated, dated June 7, 2024, the owner having fulfilled all of the requirements of the subdivision and re-subdivision ordinance of the parish of Plaquemines without cost to the Plaquemines Parish Government or the parish of Plaquemines, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Councilmember Jurisic.
Offered by Mr. Jurisic, second by Mr. Conovich. Any comments from the audience? Administration? Table? Machines are open. Passes 9-0. Next item, please.
9A5, an ordinance approving a plan of re-subdivision of the property of Woodland Plantation LLC and Woodland Plaza Group LLC, Tract WP and former Ralph Brown property, Woodland Plantation, Plaquemines Parish, Louisiana, Sections 14, 15, and 16, T17S, R26E into lots WP1, WP2, WP3, WP4, and WP5, Woodland Plantation, Plaquemines Parish, Louisiana, Sections 14, 15, and 16, T17S, R26E, as shown on a plat of re-subdivision by DeFrance Surveying and Engineering Incorporated, dated January 23rd, 2024, the owner having fulfilled all of the requirements of the subdivision and re-subdivision ordinance of the parish of Plaquemines without cost to the Plaquemines Parish Government or the parish of Plaquemines, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Councilmember LaFrance.
So often.
Offered by Mr. LaFrance, second by Mr. Jurisic. Any comments from the audience? Administration? Table? Machines are open. Passes 9-0. Next item, please.
6, an ordinance to amend and as amended re-adopt Section 4 of Ordinance Number 142, the Comprehensive Zoning Ordinance of Plaquemines Parish, Louisiana, as amended, and the Comprehensive Zoning District Map therein adopted by reference, and which is para thereto with reference to application number 2024-562 dated August 12, 2024, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Councilmember Kotnovich.
Who's second? Edwards? Offered by Mr. Conovich, second by Reverend Edwards. Any comment from the audience?
Yeah, my name is Sean Lanier, 40774 Boothville River Road, Boothville. Appreciate y'all being here today. Y'all could be at home grilling on your back porch and relaxing instead of being here. But if you had 25 RVs full of LNG people that you didn't know next door, you might just soon be up here because you probably wouldn't like your backyard no more. That's what I wanted to say. I'm against having a bunch of RVs move into our neighborhood. We got a good, quiet neighborhood. I've talked to all my neighbors, except for one, and they're not for it. Now, on September 3rd, when we had a meeting over there in Port Sulphur, I think the vote was were in favor of it, and 2 y'all councilmen were opposed. Who were the 2 opposed on that one? Which 2 of y'all opposed that? Was that the zoning board?
Yeah, that was the zoning board. And I'm looking at the minutes. It had 8 yeses and 3 absent, according to the record.
It had 8 what?
Yeses and 3 were absent, were not there.
Okay. Well, let me ask y'all this. Y'all want a bunch of travel trailers that people you don't know next door to y'all, where you live, in your neighborhood? That's what I'd like to ask each one of y'all. Mitch, what do you think? I met you a while ago. What do you want a bunch of travel trailers right there next to you? To people you don't know. And people that you probably won't know and won't be there but 3 months before the legal system might catch up with them.
Well, I have some around me, and they're not that bad. You know, they've been quiet, for the most part, but they're not right adjacent to me. You know, I don't have them as neighbors. I have a lot of land right there that's being cleared off, that the intent is to put them probably, and all my neighbors around there will come out and they will go be against it, you know, because I know I've already gotten calls on the ones that aren't
Sir,
even.
you got back up to the podium.
Oh, I'm about to call a law on you and start coming at me like that.
Laura A is right there.
I have trouble seeing sometimes. So, yeah, I guess it's a good thing that hurricane hitting Florida didn't come here. You'd really hate the travel trailers, you know? You wouldn't be able to get out of Paris, but, so, Mark, Cognivic, do you want a bunch of strangers moving in next to you, say 25, 30 travel trailers right there in your neighborhood?
I understand where you're coming from, and I've been living on the same piece of property for 62 and a half years. I don't know people around me now. But, you know, I understand where you're coming from, but me growing up in Buras, I'm about the one or two other people that grew up. Pookie, I know Pookie, he's been there a while, but, you know, I understand where you're coming from. And if you don't want them, that's fine with me. I know I got calls from other people in the neighborhood that were against it too.
At least half of them are probably good people, but, you know, the other half, you know, or whatever. You know, they're coming and going. Mr. LaFrance?
Yes, sir.
What about you? Do you want strangers moving into your neighborhood? And
I'm sorry to let you know, I have about 800 RV spots in my district. I have 800.
next door to you?
I have some next door to me, yes.
You get along with them?
I don't associate with them. They don't bother me.
Good.
But,
Hope they don't.
but we have over 800 in my district. So we filled up. We got enough.
Right,
Yeah.
right. Mr. Newsom, I asked you whether you want a bunch of strangers living next to you in travel trailers?
Well, Mr. Lanier, I just want you to know that you only have 20 seconds left.
Who the hell's talking to you?
Me. Me. The chairman.
I didn't know I had a time limit. You didn't
Yes.
tell me that when I came up here.
It's our council rules. It's on the screen. It's a 5-minute time limit per person.
Well, that's the deal. Listen, I don't have a problem with somebody trying to make some money with the trailers. Oh, yeah, we've got a nice neighborhood. People coming and going all night long on this shift stuff. I got to go to the store, honey, just for 5 minutes. I'll be right back from the dollar store. Be sure to lock the doors. I'll be right back. You know, that kind of thing. I don't know. I guess you catch my drift. You know,
Yes, sir. All right.
I appreciate you.
Thank you. Yes, sir. Any other comments from the public? Administration?
Got one.
Oh, sorry. I didn't see you stand up. Yes, ma'am.
Ladies, gentlemen, good afternoon. My name is Layla Lanier, and I live at 40774 Boothville River Road. Since I have no memory, I had to write my little list here of questions that I have for you. The first zoning plan, whatever, the first meeting that happened, those that voted yes, did you consider a few things that might happen with a trailer park next to us, like the traffic? 25 travel trailers mean 25 big trucks pulling those trailers, maybe the spouse trucks also, or the roommates trucks. So that's a lot of traffic in and out all day and night because they have different shifts. Did you consider, or will you consider, the crime? Because trailer parks do not have a good reputation in general. Theft, drugs, prostitution, and everything else. Did you consider the infrastructure? You talked about water earlier. Will the water pressure go down? Because half of the trailer parks will be using water at the same time we will. Did you or will you consider the property value? If we were to sell our property, we will not get what we were hoping for because nobody wants to live near a trailer park. And I know the owner of the property does not live on site. I believe he lives in Belle Chase. Will somebody be there to manage the park? Make sure that if there are some regulations, they will be followed. And I also wanted to let you know that we did not receive a letter informing us of this meeting today. Thank you for your time.
Hi, my name's Deborah Popich, and my address is 40634 Buffalo River Road, Buras, Louisiana. And I oppose this trailer park. One thing y'all were speaking about was the water. It is a small residential community, lots of children on that highway. The highway itself is not sustainable for that many people. The road is always underwater. It's just, it needs to be raised, it needs to be resurfaced, and we can't put that many more vehicles on that highway. It just won't work. And I'm hoping that y'all vote against this. Thank you.
Hi, David Clark, 108 Avenue A in Belle Chase. It's been a year and a half now since I've been fighting for my permit. And Denny, I think you deserve to do whatever you want to with your property if it doesn't affect your neighbors. I didn't have that opportunity. My neighbors were a mile away from me, and the zoning board voted me down. In this case, adjacent neighbors showed up at the zoning board meeting, and the zoning board went and voted for this, 8 members of that. That's kind of scary when we don't have a standardized system with a zoning board that's going to vote the same every time and play with the same factors that affect the neighbors. I watched council members that go out of their districts to support the individual here to show support to try to help him out to get his park, not giving me the same opportunity with that. So with our, with you guys up there doing the same thing, you're not representing each and every person that's coming before you wanting the same opportunity that is given to certain individuals. I've asked for and I'm going to go to my situation because that's all I can go off of. I think everyone deserves the right to do what they want to with their property if it doesn't affect their neighbors. And I'm not having that opportunity to do that. And I appreciate the ones that are up there supporting.
We got to stay on this permit.
I get it, and this is on this permit. I'm just saying it's the factors that we're doing. They're not standardized. You guys are like a fish out of water. You're flip-flopping. There is picking and choosing. I said that in the past. We are. It's obvious that we're throwing moratoriums out. We're approving and a moratorium on the same agenda. That's just ridiculous. I mean, we can't do this. We can't do our business this way. It's confusing, like Reverend Edwards said. It's totally throws us in a tailspin here trying to figure out what you guys are trying to do. We're showing more focus on RVs than we are with the situation that's happening in our parish today. I mean, we're concerned that a trailer's going to pull up 2 gallons of water, but we're looking at another plant to be built just 6 months after this one. It's just, nothing's making sense to us trying to figure out what you guys are trying to do. I appreciate it. Thanks.
Yes, sir. Public comment. Just state your name and address, please.
Dennis B. Adolph Jr., 312 Oak Tree Road, Belle Chase. First of all, they saying it's LNG workers. Who says there's LNG workers? They making up their own mind. Number one, I have a trailer park already down there. They have a lot of, I got 16 big trailers in there. It's all sport fishermen from out of town. They got a bunch of their friends want to come down and bring trailers to go fishing. But nobody wants to spend the money to go 14 foot in the air. So that's why I'm rezoning, because there was big trailers there. And I want to make it where I can put the trailers there where people can come and put their trailers and go fishing.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Thank you. Any other public comment? Administration? Mr. Jursich?
Yes, okay, we're gonna clear something up right here. First of all, we're voting on a zoning change, not an RV park.
Correct.
And, Denny, I wish you'd have stayed there for a minute if you wanna come back to the podium. Because I'm gonna have a few questions for you, because I got some, bunch of calls as well. And this kind of blindsided me, you know, and it puts us in a tough situation, really does. I wish we'd have been able to get together on this. How many spots are you looking to put if you put an RV park?
It's 25.
Do you realize right now that is a temporary?
No, it's permanent.
No, but I'm saying, do you realize below St. Jude Hump that there is temporary RV parks?
Yeah, they got some, I heard, yeah.
But I just wanted to make it clear, this is for a zoning change.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, from what I've heard from the permit office, was if you do get this zoning change, you will only be allowed 2 RVs without coming to us. Anything more than that, you would have to come before us. So if you wanted to put 20, 25, you had to put 2 and come to us for the other 23. And I think you know what's gonna happen when we hit that point. I'm trying to figure out, you sure you want a zoning change?
Yeah.
All right.
They passed the zoning already.
All right. I was gonna hit on that. Wait, don't go anywhere. That this is just for the zoning change, this does not guarantee him any RV spots. And per our discussion earlier, there is gonna be no RV spots as long as we're under a state of emergency. That's in the state of emergency declaration. So are you aware of that?
Meecher said that they was, with the salt water and all, they wouldn't allow any trailer.
Okay, so you know that just because you get this, you're not gonna turn around and get approval from us 2 weeks from now, type deal. So, because we can't. The other thing is, didn't this have not RV trailers, but mobile homes on it before?
Big trailers. 6
And how many were there before?
6 at one time.
Okay, so this was not 25, but 6 basically at one time, which goes along the same line. And then,
6 4-bedroom trailers.
yeah, and then looking at it, there was 2 people that were against it at the zoning meeting, correct? That spoke? Okay, I yield. Mr. Newsom.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Denny, you spoke to my office, called my office yesterday, and we spoke on this, and I do, but it was brought to my attention today about so if not, this passes to MH, you can only have 2 RVs in this MH park. So you talked about, just in your comments about raising trailers, I don't know, how high?
I said the reason why I'm putting it in MH, because you can't pull a big trailer in there. You got to go 14 foot in the air with all the past. So that's why I want a permanent park where I can bring the camper trailer where people can come in and go fishing, do whatever they want.
But just what Mr. Jurich hit on, you can't have 25 RVs in an MH park. You can have 2. So you might, but any more than that, have to come to the council for approval. So, and Mr. Jurich hit on a little bit about, we do have where you can have temporary south of St. Jude right now. That's current ordinance on the books. So, and then you can have then you can, then, of course, but with this, even as it currently sits, we're not giving out any RV permits through the parish with the state of, emergency that Mr. President Hinckley has signed, so, this got a lot of stuff, we got some residents here, I think we can get together with you guys and the residents, and if we defer this matter and really talk with the residents and see if we can go, because I don't want to see it done and then you can't do what you thought you could do with the current situation. Because now, in future, yeah, if you get an MH in future, you can have, after it expires, you can have that if it comes back to the council for approval. So just some things that brought up to attention today that I did not think about. So with that, Mr. Chairman, I yield.
Yeah, they saying, like they said what they said, you said you making it a mobile home park so people could put their trailers there.
Yeah, it was a mobile home park before, but now if you bring like 16 by 80, you gotta go 14 foot, right?
Well, let me know if I'm wrong, but just because he has a mobile home park, he can only put a mobile home in there for 6 months, right? Well, even a full-size trailer, you can't put it on the ground unless it was a mobile home park before 1985 with FEMA regulations.
My understanding of FEMA rules is that you basically, even if it's not an RV, it has to be ready to rock and roll at a moment's notice. Because if FEMA comes down and does an audit or looks at it and it looks like it's a permanent structure, then we get written up. So, but yeah, y'all are right. He would only get 2. Any additional RVs, RV parks, anything like that would definitely have to come to the council at such time. But obviously, under the existing state of emergency, we wouldn't be issuing any anyway. So.
But I'm saying a mobile home park, if it's not older than 1985, they can't go on the ground. They gotta go up in the air if they wanna be permanent in that park.
Yeah, anything new, correct, yeah.
And if he,
Is there anything on the property now, or is it vacant?
They got one big trailer there.
Yeah, so, right, so,
That been disconnected for I don't know how long.
yeah, any new trailers would need to
Waiting for
elevate
somebody
that
to
we're
come
gonna,
get 'em.
yeah, right.
so they'd have to move in 6 months, right?
Yeah, and I wouldn't defer to Mitra on this, I haven't looked at the rules lately, but yes, you're right, yeah. Anything that's allowed that is not elevated has to be ready to move on a moment's notice. So, and it's my understanding there are some other restrictions on that. I don't have it in front of me. I wish I did, and I can email it to y'all tomorrow. But yeah, you have to move. Yes,
It has to be moved in 6 months.
Yes,
No, if it's permanent, it can't be permanent.
it can't be
No
permanent. Yeah.
permanent unless you have a trailer park.
It has to move.
1985.
It has to move, yes. And I'm sorry if I wasn't clear on that, but yes. That's the only reason you're allowed to have it and not have to elevate is because when FEMA comes down, they know you can move that at a moment's notice.
And look, even cruisers, the one right there in Jesuit Bend, those trailers, those RVs, those camper trailers, every 6 months are supposed to move.
That's every trailer we got now. That's
Every trailer in the parish, correct.
supposed to move every 6 months. But so
Well, it depends on if they're in a visa. It depends on the zone they're in.
St. Jude down, we got temporary and
Right. Under the temporary ordinance, under the temporary RV park ordinance, yes, you have to prove to the permit office that every 6 months you are moving those trailers. And if you're not, we could revoke your permit.
and that's our rule. But FEMA's rule says
FEMA's rule is we can only approve that, right? And so but their rule is, I believe it has to be in a V zone
that's why we went to the 6 months, because FEMA said it can't be a permanent.
correct. Within 6 months, we have to show that we have to keep in order to satisfy a FEMA audit, we have to keep records sufficient enough to show that all of these RVs are in fact being moved. So we use that to justify no FEMA, these aren't permanent RVs, they're temporary RVs, and here's the records to prove it. Otherwise, if we can't prove it and FEMA comes down and they see the same RV in the same spot more than 6 months apart, they will ding us and write us up for violating the.
If they ding us, we won't have flood insurance. 'Cause that's what they did in Baton Rouge. So,
And that's flood insurance throughout the entire parish.
yes.
It's not just
Well, that's
Boothville,
why
Venice, Port Sulphur.
people get on us, we accepted the FEMA maps. Well, we had to accept the FEMA
Right.
maps. I can't fault somebody in Belchase because I don't want insurance on my trailer. You know, that's why we had to accept the map, so all of Plaquemines Parish would be under.
Yeah, you either elevate or be temporary.
So it's up to you. If you want to go with it, we'll vote on it. If not,
But, I mean,
You ain't gonna put more than, how many trailers? If you don't change the zoning to MH, you ain't about putting no more than a few trailers, temporary.
you can put temporary.
technically, you could put the same, you could put the same 25, you could put the same 20, I mean, ultimately, this is where we,
If you're trying to get a permanent, temporary is out the window. Obviously, by doing this, you're allowed permanent. So if this passes and that's what you're moving forward at, you would just get permanent status. You wouldn't mess around with temporary.
That's what I'm going for.
You could do temporary currently now if we weren't under a moratorium, probably under your existing zoning, but of course it would have to be approved by them.
but even the permanent has to be approved by us.
Well, that's what I,
What's that?
Permanent one, you still have to go underneath the same rules.
Oh, yeah, no, you still have to prove that it can be moved. But what I'm saying is, when the temporary ordinance authority expires, which it's supposed to do every 3 years, you're told, sorry, you're out. But obviously, if you do a permanent one, you would, once you're approved forever.
that's what I'm looking for.
But you can only have 2 RVs, everything else.
No, it has to come through us. No, but this is where we stand. This is a rezoning issue, first of all.
Yeah.
It passes, he wants to go for a permanent, it has to come through us. Right now, we're under state emergency. If it fails, he can then go under the temporary, but it still has to come through us, and right now, we're under state emergency. So, he's just asking for a rezoning. And that way, he doesn't have to deal with it every 3 years, worry about, correct? Is that my understanding?
Yes.
So, but again, he can't go anywhere or do anything because we're under state emergency, and he still has to come back through us at that point. Does everybody get that? All right, Mr. Edwards.
Yeah, I just want to go on record. I walked over a few minutes and talked to Mr. Konovich, and I told him I was really confused, and I didn't want to withdraw my second, but I told him I would be opposed to this, anything dealing with RV, because I didn't know it was RV. So I'm not going to pull my.
You can pull it, I'll second it.
No, I'll keep my second there, but that's what
Okay.
I made it clear to him that I was definitely.
Okay. All right, Mr. Newsom.
One last time, again, they talked about a zoning change. As Mr. Adolph said, he went to the zoning board. The zoning board, the members that were present, 8 members were present. Every one of them approved this zone. I'm in favor of supporting our zoning board.
Same.
That each one of these members sit up here, appoint somebody to it. So that I'm going to support my zoning board members' decision on this, because if we can't support our zoning board, what use or good or to have them? And with that, I yield. Thank you.
Any other comments? Mr. Jursich.
Yes, once again, to make it clear, if it does pass, you're gonna be restricted to 2 and have to come back to us for more. You're understanding that, right?
And to be clear, he's not even allowed 2 under the state emergency, correct? So he's restricted to none.
None right now.
None right now.
So if you wanted to go for 25, you put 2, you have to come.
Correct. So right now, this is just a zoning change.
That's what Amicia said. Get the zoning changed and
And we can deal with everything else later, and everybody can come back.
you gotta come back and revote.
Correct. Machines are open. Wait, where did Patty go? She was sitting right there. Oh, here she comes.
She quit.
All right, machines are open.
I can go bang.
All right, it passes 5 yeas, 1 no from Mr. Edwards, and 3 abstentions from Mr. Kognovich, Jursich, and LaFrance.
All right, zoning change. Oh, I gotta get better on this.
All right. Next item.
B, an ordinance to amend and as amended readopt subsection B of section 1752 fees and policies for the use of parish government facilities of the Parish Code of Ordinances to enact rental fees for the Empire Harbor Refuge Pavilion and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Councilmember Koknovich.
Offered by Mr. Kokrovich, second by Mr. Jurisic. Any comments from the audience? Administration. Table. Machines are open. Passes 8-1 with a no vote from Mr. Edwards.
That was a mistake.
All right, a verbal yes. Passes 9-0.
You said adjourn.
You thought we were leaving? Next item, please.
D, an ordinance to amend the 2024 manpower structure and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Councilmember Schultz.
I offer, ask for a second. Second by Mr. Koknovich. Before, Mr. Henry, this is at a salary of $54,000. What? Well, that's what the civil service, but I knew you were gonna get up and ask how much. So, all right. Any comments from the audience? Administration? Table. Machines are open.
Agree with you, Mr. Henry.
Passes 9-0. Next item, please.
An ordinance to amend the 2024 operating expenditure budget and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Councilmember Schultz.
I offer. Ask for a second. Second by Mr. Koknovich. Again, this is $13,500 for Bureaus and $13,500 for Venice, air conditioner repairs. Any comments from the audience? Administration? Table. Machines are open. Passes 9-0. Next item, please.
E, an ordinance to amend the 2024 general fund balance designations and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Councilmember Schultz, this has changes.
Please with the changes.
On line 13, we are going to scratch out $1,541,602, and we will add $1,661,915.
With that, I offer with changes. Ask for a second.
Second.
Mr. Newsom seconds. Any comments from the audience? This is putting money into that surplus fund to bring it up to $7 million? $7 million. Any other comments from the audience? Administration? Table? Machines are open. Passes 9-0. Yes, it will be up to $7 million.
Ordinance to amend the 2024 Public Health Fund operating expenditure budget and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Councilmember Schultz, and this has changes.
Go ahead.
On lines 13 and 21, change 200,000 to 100,000.
I offer with changes. Ask for a second. Second by Ms. McCarty. Any comments from the audience? Administration? Table? Well, okay, I'll let you go first. Mr. Newsom?
Yes, Jeff, we spoke about this, this week, about, this will get us through the year. But I get a lot of calls, as everybody, about mosquito spraying. Where's the truck? We spoke, and I know you're talking about putting some, if we could get a better understanding where the truck's at for the residents that see it. See, you already added a game, so. Put 'em on. We're gonna get you.
This is 3 months of logs of where they've sprayed. I'll be happy to share this with you guys.
How did that get compiled?
Once they spray, they log where they spray, each zone and which truck driver. And if they couldn't spray due to climate or mechanical issues,
And we just, because the rest, yeah, and look, I'm done with it.
Ms. LaFrance.
Yes. How much poison are we gonna order? How does the poison come in? Does it come in totes? Does it come in
Yes,
55-gallon drums?
it comes in totes.
Totes?
Yes, sir.
What size totes?
What's that?
250-gallon totes.
So how much is it? How much is each tote?
22,000, I believe.
For a tote. How
Yes,
long
sir.
does a tote last? Of course, it depends on how much it rained and everything.
depends.
How much we use?
It depends.
Do the
on
airplane
weather
use the
and-
same poison?
I'm sorry?
Do the airplane use the same poison?
No, sir. No, sir. Different disbursement.
Okay, and we're gonna have the poison by Monday.
He's already made the order.
Uh-huh.
We'll issue the PO tomorrow, depending on this vote.
Mm-hmm.
And we're gonna expedite the shipment.
And how far the poison coming from?
That, I'd have to answer that. I'd have to get
Comes
that.
from a few states away, but I mean, that, this day and age, you should be able to get it 2 days, no matter what.
You could overnight it from the East Coast or the West Coast.
What do you contribute to the price of the poison being so high, going up in price? Just inflation?
Just the inflation, the market. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
So we have the logs. Please, I know we did it last year, post the schedule where they're supposed to be, obviously weather dependent, because I don't know how many phone calls saying that it hasn't been down the street, and I don't have it. I mean, if they go tonight, well, that log's not going to get updated and sent to me until whenever. But if we know where it's supposed to be, we can at least say, hey, it's going to be sprayed weather dependent Thursday. Also, plane. Has the plane been fixed and fly? I know 2 meetings ago it was supposed to be coming out of the shop, because my question is, do we still have money in that budget for the plane?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, yes, that's been, that we have chemicals for the plane.
Okay. And then, is it actually up yet?
There's very few pilots in this area that actually do something like this, and they're spread out through the metropolitan area.
I know one.
No, you don't.
The plane has flown several times already.
Okay, that's what we're asking.
That's kind of at our mercy too, because we saw the pilots that fly that and chemical certified, they're also crop dusters, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
There's very few pilots certified to do this,
and
they're spread out through the area.
So again, please post the schedule. I asked that back in February when we were about to restart spraying, if we could post it, and it hasn't been posted yet. I know I was outside earlier, Thursday, I guess it was this week, and at 5 o'clock, I was like, I'm done. I was getting bit myself, and I'm up in the front row, man. I haven't heard the truck.
We're out of spray.
I know.
As soon as we get it.
Well, no, I'm saying at the appropriate time. So, and then next year, let's, I guess, up the budget where we're not doing this mid-year.
We tried that last year, but finance told us to come back mid-year.
Okay. Ms. McCarty.
You
know what I meant.
We talked about this before the meeting, but you mentioned you might be able to get Bob Jelpy and Christian Beschel to put the information on the internet so people would know when the trucks are passing or
Yes.
where they have been, et cetera, because I also get a lot of questions. But I'm going to think outside the box in addition to this. Can we ask a zoologist or something about how many bats we have in the area, and would we even want to consider putting up bat houses? Because if we had bats, we wouldn't be paying for all these chemicals. Just a thought. Let's look at it.
Miss Carter, Shanta, can the schedule be posted to the new app coming out on Monday? And that way people can check the app on a regular basis.
So much stuff is it's like having the website on the app. So you'll have
Okay, I'm just saying, because if we can push the app, say, hey, you can see mosquito control, maybe more people download the app.
you can see a lot. So yeah, we can do that.
All right, Mr. Jurisich.
Patty, There's a saying, bat's something crazy.
You're wrong for that. You're wrong for that.
All right. Machines are open.
It's free.
Free.
Free is good.
Oh, it's very.
Passes 9-0. Next item, please.
Get them on the truck.
G, an ordinance to amend the 2024 Library Services Fund Operating Expenditure Budget, Libraries General Department, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Councilmember Schultz.
I offer. Ask for a second. Second by Mr. Konowich. Any comments from the audience? This is for total of $31,000 for the library. It comes from their own fund, just for the public knowledge.
I understand this for the libraries,
Yes, sir.
but Belcher need a brand new library. It's time for you 5 councilmen that live in Belcher. We need a new library. Either expand the one we got or build a new one.
I agree with you. We gotta find some funds.
Well, they have their own fund.
We got to raise your tax. No, I've been.
He said that, not me. Mr. Brock.
Terrence Brock, 146 East Campbell Lane. Library. I've been looking for the library on East Bank. Y'all know where that?
They burned it down. What did they house them?
No. The library is at the Percy Griffin Community Center. It's the size of this paper, this page right here. So can we have something, put it in the center or something? We don't have a library.
Mr. Edwards, I'm sure, will put in his notes.
I'm telling you, it's the size of the mailbox.
Yes, sir. Any other comments from the audience? Administration? Ms. McCarty?
I just want to put it out there, maybe other council members can comment. I was thinking about doing a CEA between Plaquemines and Jefferson Parish for use of their library system, because Orleans and Jefferson use each other's libraries. So that might be a way for us to have extended services and online services. Just a thought.
Mr. Edwards?
Yeah, on the library issue, I've looked at that and the stuff in the building is something that I developed. I don't see that as a major issue for these Bank of the River. We have a more important issue. The people in the age of computer here, most of the kids over here have a computer, and we got other big issue to deal with. Whether in a library, I took that position. I think when Councilman Griffin was on here, he talked about that. I don't see that as being the greatest need for these bankers. I'm just saying me personally.
Yes,
so I'm not advocating for that at all. And so what's in the Reverend Griffin Center, it was some stuff when I was there put in there just so people can have that. And we have in Phoenix a library that I was talking about even bringing those books to put in there. But most kids now is into the iPad.
Yes, sir. Machines are open. Passes 9-0. Next item, please.
H, an ordinance to amend the 2024 general fund operating expenditure budget and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Councilmember Schultz.
I offer. Ask for a second.
Second.
Second by Mr. Newsom. Any comments from the audience? Administration? It's for air conditioning repairs, correct? Jeff?
It's for AC repairs and any other maintenance or,
Yeah.
or buildings repairs that we.
Throughout the parish?
Yes, sir.
All right. Okay, any comments from the audience? Administration? Table? Machines are open. Doc stepped up. Passes 8-0 with District 4 stepping away.
Don't fix the air conditioning in his office.
No, because that's our air condition too.
Oh, never mind. Scratch that.
I, an ordinance to amend the 5-year capital improvements plan, Basin 2 Sea Level Rise Mitigation and Resilience Improvements Project, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Councilmember Schultz. This has changes.
Go ahead.
The first fill in the blank on line 13 is going to be 350,000. The second fill in the blank on line 14 is the drainage good news project. On line 17, we will add section 2. It will read, the 5-year capital improvements plan is amended by appropriating $200,000 to the Basin 2 Sea Level Rise Mitigation and Resilience Improvements Project from the General Fund Unreserved Undesignated Fund Balance, funding year 2024. And the original section 2 will become section 3.
I offer with changes, ask for a second. Second by Ms. McCarty. What this is, just for the public, is a grant that we received with the federal government to build a building in conjunction with the base by Mel Honor Park. We are taking $350,000 that went over budget from another project that completed a couple of years ago, and then the $200,000 is for inspections to that we have to pay. With that, any comments from the audience? Administration, Mr. Jursich.
Yes, I'm just going to ask a question. This sea level rise mitigation and resilience improvements, this was a grant, right?
Yes.
Is that possibly used for levies and all as well? No?
No, this was the name. I don't know how they came up with that, but it came from. I mean, this was that.
Yeah, the name.
That's 20 million or close to $20 million total. And I think the Sea Basin was part of it, was the pumping station in Medal of Honor Park, and that's where the name came from. Oh. Yeah, but there's the pond. There's a small one in that pond. Yeah.
This is for the pumps.
The pump station, yeah. But it's part of that whole grant project. All right, with that, any other comments from the audience, or from the table? Machines are open. Passes 9-0. Next item, please.
J, a resolution authorizing the Arts, Parks and Recreation Department through its Director of Designee to enter into a cooperative endeavor agreements and program partnerships with various entities, groups, and individuals through the Arts, Parks and Recreation Programmatic Partnerships Program for the purpose of offering different recreational options throughout Plaquemines Parish and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Councilmember Schultz.
I offer, ask for a second. Second by Reverend Edwards. Any comments from the audience? Administration? Table. Machines are open. Passes 9-0. Next item, please.
Okay, an ordinance to amend the 2024 Road Maintenance Fund operating expenditure budget and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Councilmember Newsom.
I so offer and ask for a second.
Offered by Mr. Newsom, second by Mr. Jursich. Any comments from the audience? Administration? Table, Mr. Newsom, you're already on.
So what this is, I had a conversation with Mr. Wishes and Mr. Bradford Brooks from Prime, and just through conversation, I asked, what do you guys need? And as we don't know, in this other update we got from the directors, they said A-boom. So Mr. Wishes has told me A-booms, this is for 2 A-booms. 1 A-boom will come to District 1.
I like how you said that loud.
And the other one will be stationed in the southern end of the parish. So that'll put us A-boom throughout two brand new A-booms throughout the whole parish. And he said this is what Mr. Brooks really said this is what they need. So with that, I'm offering, and that's all I have to say.
Hold on, Ms. McCarty, it's thinking. Ms. McCarty.
Billy, this is just a reminder. I think you still need a dump truck. So make your list. Thank you. Bye-bye.
I need a vacuum truck for sewer issues.
We all need a lot of stuff.
We could all make lists.
Yeah, I got sewer backing up because we don't have. Not blue, that's coastal. I was made very well aware of that. Machines are open.
Yeah,
Passes 9-0. Next item, please.
L, an ordinance establishing a parish-wide temporary 6-month moratorium on the issuance of any permanent or temporary RV and RV park deferred. M, an ordinance to accept quitclaim deed from United States of America and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Councilmember Jurisic.
I'll offer.
Offer by Mr. Jurisic, second by Mr. Konovich. Any comments from the audience? Administration, Mr. Jurisic.
You want to give a little oversight of this just quick so people aren't.
Don't go over every page.
After Katrina, the Corps came in, and this is all part of our ongoing work with the Corps in building our levee system. They exercise their rights of eminent domain. That's federal rights that they have as a federal government. But part of our agreement with all that is when they exercise their rights, whenever the work and the betterment was done, they would then release whatever rights they had back to the parish. And so this is basically what that's doing as part of an agreement we have with the Corps. Whatever rights they had, they're relinquishing to us through this quitclaim. And so it's ours. It's really already ours because we own the levees, but this is part of that process.
Any other comments from the table? Machines are open.
No.
Pass it. Or Mr. Edwards. Passes 9-0. Next item, please.
N, an ordinance to amend section 2291 of chapter 22, rate of the Plaquemines Parish Code of Ordinances to provide for increased rates in the water tapping and service connections, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Councilmember Schultz.
I offer, ask for a second.
I don't want a second.
I don't either. Oh, yeah, wait, what? What? Changes. No, that's just what, that's not the change, that's the old rates.
That's what they're going to.
Second by Mr. Champagne. Any comments from the audience? Yes, sir. Who's making noise? Jeff, you're making too much noise over there. You're off now. Go ahead, Mr. Brooks.
The problem, you're saying we're gonna go up on a.
No, so what this is for new installs. Basically, we haven't updated our rates since what year? 1999. So when you get a new install for a meter or have to drill underneath the highway, we're changing the rates for that, not your water usage or anything like that.
All right, thanks.
Any other comments from the audience? Administration, table, machines are open. Passes 8-1 with a no vote from
Edwards.
Edwards.
O, an ordinance to amend and as amended readopt ordinance 2443 and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Councilmember Schultz.
I offer and ask for a second. Second by Dr. Gooey. Mr. Brox, this is actually what you were referencing earlier. This is, it's correction of a name, a clerical error that we did, but this is that courthouse money that we moved to. We have to correct the name of where it came from, but this is actually what you were talking about earlier. It's just a clerical error for finance purposes. But any comments from the audience? Administration, table, machines are open. Passes 9-0.
P, an ordinance to amend the 2024 general fund operating expenditure budget, parish courier department, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Councilmember Schultz, this has changes.
You want
On line 4, 13, and 21, change 55,000 to 30,000.
your changes? I offer for Mr. Newsom's changes.
And I'll second.
Second by Mr. Newsom. Any comments from the audience? $30,000 instead of 55.
No, well.
The courier. And I think, Mr. Newsom, we were looking at the state contracts and SU. Oh, okay, fine, then. Mr. Newsom.
Yes, so myself and actually Mr. Schultz is much more savvy on the computer than myself, so we pulled up state contracts, actually spoke to finance and spoke to the courier. about vehicles. She's driving that, as we all know, that big van, which is probably not very economical. When it breaks, it's breaking. So when it does break, she borrows Finance's vehicle, which Finance has a Chevrolet Traverse. Per the state contract, it is available, a Chevrolet Traverse with a 90-day delivery, full price of $27,058. She actually told the finance department she really likes driving that vehicle, so that's why the changes were made.
Any comments from the audience?
It's in Detroit.
It's actually, I think, in Leesville. Administration, table, machines are open. Passes 9-0. Next item, please.
Do an ordinance to amend the 2024 general fund operating expenditure budget, courthouse security department, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Councilmember Schultz.
I offer us for a second. Second by Mr. Jurcich. Any comments from the, oh, wait, hold on, sorry, wrong. Any comments from the audience? Administration, table, machines are open. Passes 9-0. Next item, please.
R, an ordinance to amend the 2024 general fund operating expenditure budget, telecommunications department, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Councilmember Schultz.
I offer, ask for a second, I'll explain. Second by Mr. Jurcich. Looking at the graph, it looks like it's moving money from equipment, capital outlay to operating, so no money is coming from the general fund, it's just moving 20,000 from within their budget, based on what I'm saying. Yeah. All right. Any comments from, any comments from the audience? Administration, Mr. Champagne.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My question is, I mean, what professional services are we paying for and at what cost? I mean, we're obviously not going to buy some equipment, but it doesn't say what the professional services are for the telecommunications department.
It's numerous.
Cyber support, what is this?
It's numerous. It's all the radio, cell tower stuff, all of that stuff that we have to call people out on.
Thank you.
And it's, again, money within their department. They're just moving it from one.
Yeah, I just, again, we need to do on the, I would ask that on the digest, we do a better job
Yes.
of spelling out exactly what we're doing so we won't have to ask these.
And going forward, please try to put the amounts in the digest. That way, we're not going back and have, like I've said multiple times, it's this amount. But if we could put it in what it's for and the amounts. Thank you. Mr. Edwards.
Like minds think alike because I had the same position, Champagne. We got to do a better job explaining what professional service are. You have a lot of stuff come before this council.
All right. Machines are open, sorry. Passes 9-0. Next item, please.
S, a resolution to adopt the required CDBG DR program policies and procedures, acknowledges CDBG DR program funds be administered in accordance with OCD grantee administrative manual, appoint various coordinators, officers, authorize individuals to execute the request for payment, authorize the parish president to execute all documents related to the CDBG DR program, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Councilmember Schultz.
I offer, ask for a second. Second by Mr. Newsom. Any comments from the audience? Administration, table, machines are open. Passes 9-0. Next item, please.
T is withdrawn. U, an ordinance to amend and as amended readopt section 4.5 content of application for permit of the Parish Code of Ordinances to require a signed statement in lieu of a sworn affidavit by an applicant for an alcohol beverage permit that the applicant meets the qualifications and conditions required for the permit and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Councilmember Champagne.
Offered by Mr. Champagne, second by Mr. Jursich. Any comments from the audience? Administration? Table? Machines are open. Passes 9-0. Next item, please.
An ordinance authorizing the acceptance of a donation for the Recreation Bantam Football Department and to amend the 2024 General Fund Operating Revenue and Expenditure Budgets, Recreation Bantam Football Department, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Councilmember Newsom.
I offer.
Offered by Mr. Newsom, second by Mr. Jursich. Any comments from the audience? Administration? Table? Machines are open. Passes 9-0. Next item, please.
W will be withdrawn. X, an ordinance to amend the 2024 operating revenue and expenditure budgets to accept a donation for the Economic Development Tourism Department and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Councilmember Kotnovich.
Offered by Mr. Conover, second by Mr. Jursich. Any comments from the audience? Administration? Table? Machines are open. Passes 9-0.
10, approval of the minutes from the September 12th, 2024 regular meeting minutes.
Offered by Mr. LaFrance, second by Mr. Newsom. Any comments from the audience? Mitch? Yes, hold on, but yeah, I know. Any comments from administration on minutes? Table, machines are open. Passes 9-0. On the executive session, I forgot that Mr. Taylor said he will just handle at the next Bell Chase meeting. He said it was my call, and I told him that we were deferred. So, next item, please.
11, new business. 11B, District 4 update, discussion of Section 805 of the Charter for Local Self-Government. Councilmember Dewey.
It's discussion.
Make the council and the public aware of something that Mr. Garrett brought to my attention in preparation for an ordinance that was introduced today relative to a special election to change some of the language in our charter. Section 805, as I read it, showed that there was a date restriction as to when an election can be called, and so Mr. Garrett says, no, there's not. And so I showed him the website language and the book, and he showed me the Municode, which was different. So he went back and looked, and sure enough, in 1993, there was an election for a charter change. And that charter change changed the language of 805. So if you happen to look at the charter, which I know most of you do in the evenings when you're at home, and you go to 8.05 and you read it, and then you look at the introductions, which I know you look at tonight, and see that there's a discrepancy. I wanted to bring it to everyone's attention, and I want to thank Mr. Garrett for it, that the language has changed. And Mr. Garrett, 25 words or less, please. If you can just give a briefing, I think we'll get the changes through the Secretary's office, and then the website will have to be changed, and the books, you can throw them away or use them for kindling or whatever you want, because we have to get new books for the charter. I'm done.
All they took out, there was a provision in the one that's on the website, the PDF that you look up, that said that when you had to have an election during this time frame, this window. But in 1993, there were actually 5 charter amendments as I located that were all went to the voters. One of them did amend this process in 805. It passed. I sent Dr. Gouy the actual election results. I think it was passed pretty overwhelmingly. And so that was sent at the time, apparently, to Municode, as you normally would do. And Municode updated the home rule charter on the website, noted the ordinance and the date of the election and everything, so it was actually fairly easy to find the accurate thing. Kim helped track the old ordinance down. I pulled the ordinance to make sure it actually did say. And so it's just an oversight that they didn't change the PDF version of the charter that was posted on the website.
Okay, that's 27 words. So if you would, Mr. Garrett, just as a point of information, if you could just send those two versions to the council members.
I will.
With a little thing, I think that would
Will do.
be really helpful. I'm done.
Next item, please.
Item C, District 3 update, infrastructure issues, drainage and sewer. Councilmember Schultz.
Yes, I'm gonna be quick. I talked about, well, no, I mean, we talked about drainage and sewer overall today. But for people and Dr. Gorman, myself, Parish President, Infomark, Director, Witchers, Director, DeMarco, thank you, all met. And we're gonna scope that area to figure out what's going wrong and try to come up with a plan. But that's why I'm big on sewer right now, is because I am aware of the issues you are having with your house and street and smell and everything. So I just want to give the public update on what's going on there. But we are working on it. That's it for me. Keep it on the agenda though for next time. Yeah.
D, District 9 update, grass cutting, ditches cleaned out, public roads maintenance.
As long as y'all got that camera truck going, look at his. The Highway 23 in Bootville's even getting worse.
As I mentioned to you, also down around changes and hearts there, we're gonna, I know Billy's gonna get together with you on that ditch across the highway. But also, we're gonna take video that subsurface on the east side of 23 at that area too, so.
Like I told you on it, that where Targa drives to their trailers back there, you can see where the culvert's caving in. There's a
Okay. But Bill, you got
TDs
that.
looked at.
That's it. Next item, please.
E, District 7 update on lift station for Martin Lane, update of heavy equipment, update on grass cutting and/or contracts. Diamond Park needs to be sprayed for mosquitoes, road graded, manhole cover, and Port Sulphur on Highway 23 across from Lee Drive.
Mr. LaFrance.
Yes. Mr. DeMarco, where we at with that, the lift station in Happy Jack? I heard they sent it to engineering to be designed for a change.
Oh, hold on. All right.
They're working on a temporary fix. It looked like part of the top and some of the walls on the wet well collapsed. They're working on a temporary fix, but yeah, we're getting with engineer to see if we could get, a permanent fix, a permanent design on it. And they're on that manhole cover as well.
Okay.
Infomark is.
Okay. Every equipment. Do we have any?
Yeah, we do.
We do.
Something specific we talking about?
Excavators?
We do.
Bobcats?
Yes.
We in good shape?
We have some of everything. I wouldn't say we're in good shape. We have a few of everything, and most days it does not run like it should. We don't have all new equipment. It's all old, outdated stuff, but we're working on fixes for that in the 2025 budget proposal.
Okay. We talk about the grass cutting. The road grader.
One of those.
I know we have that.
Right.
Paid $250,000 for that.
Yeah, I don't think it's that. It's probably the nicest equipment. That's the newest equipment we have.
I know.
Other than a tractor, yeah.
But, they're gonna be out there grading tomorrow?
I'll check on that for you.
I do need Diamond Road, Diamond Park
And the reason
grading.
I say I'll check on it, they were rebuilding the bags that we would have to replace. We don't want to be left with no surplus of those super sacks. That's what they've been doing the last couple of days. If they finish that, yes, the operator should be heading down to jump on the grader.
Okay, that's it.
Next item, please.
F, District 6 update on code enforcement policy.
I think we spoke at length about this earlier with Dr. Gui, so but you can, we'll withdraw that item. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Edwards, you want to offer for adjournment? Motion by Mr. Cognovich. Do I have a second? Second. You're not allowed. Second by Mr. Newsom. Machines are open. If you vote no, Ms. Edwards.
Edwards.
Passes 8-1 with a no vote from Ms. Edwards. We gotta stay for the port anyway. We have adjournment at 5:18.